a formation of a 4-3-3, Sudachuk, Stepanenko and Zinchenko trying to hold down and control the midfield ahead of Sweden. So the game coming from 8 o'clock between Sweden and Ukraine. Now fast approaching the 8 p.m. game between Sweden and Ukraine. The winner will face England after they beat Germany earlier this afternoon. Sweden top their group ahead of Spain. Ukraine, one of the best third-place finishers, and they'll be doing all they can to upset the apple carts in what is a mouth-watering game really at Hampden Park in Scotland. Both teams have surprised a lot of their doubters to reach this stage of the competition. While Sweden enjoyed a fairly smooth approach to Glasgow, it was Ukraine that had to nervously wait for the route to be confirmed as one of the best placed at third places. Sweden's best ever finish at Euros came in 1992 as they were hosts to reach the semis. If they can do the business this afternoon, of course, they'll do the exact same potentially if they can. Of a 4-3-3, Sudachuk, Stepanenko and Zinchenko trying to hold down and control the midfield ahead of Sweden. So the game coming from 8 o'clock between Sweden and Ukraine. Now fast approaching the 8 p.m. game between Sweden and Ukraine. The winner will face England after they beat Germany earlier this afternoon. Sweden top their group ahead of Spain. Ukraine, one of the best third-place finishers, and they'll be doing all they can to upset the apple carts in what is a mouth-watering game really at Hampden Park in Scotland. The sun is shining in a rare occasion in Scotland. A lot of comments being made on social media about the weather and how warm it actually is. And now we await for the final, last 16 tie between these two teams. As I mentioned there in the preview, the winner will take on England after their victory over Germany, but I'm sure we'll speak about that later in the game. Myself, Tom Hill and Rob Eddy will bring you all the coverage for tonight's match. Hopefully we end the last 16 with a bang after last night's fantastic 3-3 games, and of course a exit for Croatia and France. These two teams will be desperate to get through, and I think a lot of teams will be licking their lips at the prospect of who they could face. So it will be Ukraine in their blue strip. It was Sweden that called rank as the home team. Goalkeeper, it's a midfield of Larsson, Olsen, Ekdal and Forsberg, and then it's Isaac and Ski, who was the sole change for Sweden up front. As for Ukraine, it is Bushkan, Karavayev, Sabani, Kristov and Masivenko. The midfield three of Sidorchuk, Stepanenko and Zinchenko. Up front, it's Yarmolenko, Yarmolechuk and Sharapenko. To sit back and watch the last 16, I'm sure they'll be itching to get going. It's a beautiful night for football. And what are you expecting in this one?
Yeah, I think it'll be quite cagey. That's what I'm thinking. Obviously, not every knockout stage has been cagey, but Sweden, yes, they're unbeaten and they don't concede many goals, but I don't think the defence is their strongest aspect, considering how Poland troubled them. Ukraine, I think they know their limitations, despite how they qualified for the tournament. It's not worked out once they've got here. And when they played Austria and they were a goal down, they were happy to try and defend a 1-0 defeat and go for the win. So until that first goal goes in, the earlier the better, obviously, but until it goes in, I can't see it being an open affair.
Yeah, hopefully. It is a slow build-up. I expect a cagey game as well, like Rob said, and hopefully the game does start to open up. And Ukraine, you'd naturally feel, will be the more defensive of the two. They've got the ball now for the time being, just knocking it around the defence, and they're going to have to go back. And it is Kristov that goes back to his keeper, Bushkan. In terms of pressure, very little from Isaac, who is the player that's got all the headlines really for Sweden alongside Forsberg. In the midfield for Sweden, he's their talisman with an important couple of goals. In terms of the respective results to get here, it's a draw with Spain for Sweden to start with. Jan Anderson's side then beat Slovakia and then Poland in dramatic fashion late on. As for Ukraine, lost to the Netherlands, beat North Macedonia, lost to Austria and qualified as one of the best third-placed teams. I'm sure when Ukraine were beaten by Netherlands, many would expect the Dutch to go into the latter stage of the competition, but they were knocked out in the last 16, and Frank de Boer left his post earlier this afternoon. A couple of minutes in, the fans for each side, Ukraine fans just to the right of their defence, trying to cheer them on, but Rob's got it spot on so far. We have had a very cagey and quite slow start. A long ball forward, looking down the left-hand side for Zinchenko, who's on the team sheet as a centre midfielder. He does adapt and will try and pull a little bit further wide, which will help out Ukraine. That's a poor ball inside, though, and it's a sloppy pass from Matinenko. Gives the ball away, and Isaac drops deep. And it's important, I think, Rob, for Sweden to try and flood that midfield. It is a three-man attack with the wing-backs trying to help out, but if they can get the likes of Isaac sitting deep to help them out, it could neutralise that threat.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If they flood the midfield, it's going to be struggling for space, time on the ball, trying to pick those passes. Obviously, they've got to get bodies up in support as well. Here's an early cross into the box. Isaac's the target. Bushkan tried to come and punch, but his defender got in their way. He clearly didn't shout. But Ukraine have actually cleared it up to the halfway line, so no imminent danger. But yeah, it could be cagey. I mean, I do hope that first goal goes in early. I've said before, like, Croatia hardly set out to have a go at Spain, but ultimately ended up scoring 3 goals. So until the first goal goes in, we don't know how this goal's going to pan out, as Sweden try and just muscle their way through the middle with Ekdal, but that ball gets away from him, and it's going to go through to Bushkan, who falls on the ball. But I mean, it's not the most cagey start I've ever seen. You can see there in that last attack, Sweden are trying to get bodies in the box. We've only had 3-4 minutes, and maybe Sweden have just been a little bit more aggressive than Ukraine in possession.
Yeah, defensively, I think Ukraine have been very happy, as you say, Rob, to just knock it around the back four. We're looking at Zarani and Christoph exchanging passes. Bushkan gets it again for perhaps the 3rd time already tonight. Sweden have gone through the gears a little quicker as they're now on the back foot. A nice chance for Olsen to flick it inside. Isaac goes wide looking for Forsberg, who is going to continue to cut in off the left-hand side of midfield. He's down as a left winger by trade, but number 10 on the back, he always decides to cut in. As Ukraine win a throw in, and it is Yamalenko who will go and retrieve it. He's a potential to score a special goal. He does have that up his locker. A very ambitious player, scored some great goals from long range, and a real talisman for this team. Andrei Shevchenko, of course, the manager, looking on earlier with no relative sign of any panic so far. Sweden win the header from a poor clearance from Bushkan, and Forsberg inside the Ukraine half goes back into Danielson. It's for nearly 5 minutes gone, still Sweden 0, Ukraine 0. If you're just sitting down, you've just calmed down after that England success over Germany, as this time it's with Lindelof up towards Isaac. That's not a worse pass, that, from Lindelof. A thumbs up from the centre forward. It was a midfield splitting pass. Hasn't really worked out for them though, because they've been forced all the way back, and Danielson gets it back from Lindelof now, and they work it out the back four. But again, you can see the idea straight away from Sweden. Does still really confused me that Seb Larsson can still play international football. Seems to be around forever. Watching the first Ukraine game, didn't expect him to be in the fold, but shows the level of professionalism he possesses, and to keep going all over these years. Danielson down the line. Isaac at the opposite end of his career, so possibly a bright youngster if you read the reports, and he just wins his team a throw. And as you say, Rob, that they're playing one less pass out there than the Ukraine. It's rather than go sideways, they're more than happy to start going through the gears. And I'd be certainly happy if they were the two managers. If I were the Sweden coach, we'll just break off, because Sweden are at least trying to attack here. Forsberg down the left-hand side, a chance to cross this ball in towards the bar line. Ball is swinging towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It'll fall to the edge of the area. Forsberg again. It'll bounce back out towards Ekdal. Ekdal towards Augustinsson, into the box it goes towards Isaac, and for the second time in a row, here is Forsberg. His shot is blocked, he cushions it to the edge of the area, shot comes in, it's blocked, and it'll go wide for a corner. Good start this from Sweden, Rob. Yeah, they have been the more aggressive, and you can see there in that last attack, the 4 yellow shirts in the box. Doesn't have to be a perfect cross. Better defenders might deal with it better, but that was a poor first header, and then it's just a mad scramble for the ball. Shot ultimately got blocked, and we've got the first set piece, first corner of the game. But yes, certainly the aggressors are the men in yellow. The referee's just having a chat with the jostling in the box, and I don't think they waste time, do they? They get it downfield, get it in the box, put numbers in there, and try and cause problems that way. Yeah, it's a bit of a no-nonsense sort of approach as the ball comes in. Forsberg straight away headed away at the near post by Ukraine. It's out towards Augustinsson, who swings it back, at least attempt to swing it back in towards the edge of the box. And I think it was Kovalevsky, by the way, that had that shot blocked inside the penalty area. 7 minutes gone, still goalless. Ukraine will try and frustrate for as long as possible. It was the same sort of style in the last game we covered with France, Portugal, in terms of the spectacle you wanted. France to try and score first. You didn't want Portugal to get the goal and sit back. It's the same tonight. You want Sweden to set the tempo. It'll force Ukraine out of the blocks. Sweden now in possession, and again the Plays pretty quick. He's quick enough at least as Lindelof goes wide towards Danielson. A bit of a slip from the centre half, but he's quick enough to get back to his feet with Yarmolenko chasing. Yaremchuk is the number 9 for Ukraine. Not that Sweden would know too much about him as of yet. He's been pretty lethargic up front. As here now is Olsen looking for Isaac. A nice 1-2 there. It's going to fall to Kovalevsky. Work wide towards Larsen. Larsen swings the ball into the far post. It's blocked. Back out to the edge of the area for Larsen, who prods it inside. Augustinsson goes over the top. Isaac is offside, and it's headed back in by Zinchenko. But they're seemingly, sounds like I'm being quite sarcastic, but they're using the space, Rob. They're using their players. That they're happy to go through transitions from centre midfielders to wide men. It's quite a rigid approach. Everyone's in the right spot at the right time so far.
Yeah, and I think the fact they're being helped by Ukraine having all of their players in and around their own box, it's allowing them to come forward. Yes, Yaremchuk's a little bit further downfield, but that ball lasts into the box. There's 4 attackers and there's 9 defenders, including the goalkeeper. So eight outfield players. So I think Ukraine are concerned about conceding the first goal, which won't make things easier for Sweden. As I say that, here come Ukraine going forward.
Yeah, now a chance to shoot from range. The less said about that shot, the better, really, from Shaparenko. Got some good space, though. Pretty poor from Sweden, breaking down in the middle of that midfield, and a bit too easy for him. And I actually think the shot's going to end up closer to the corner flag from Shaparenko. Got it horribly wrong, but perhaps that's a sign of a lack of a touch for him in that position. But it's a warning sign as to what Ukraine can do. As we get the goal kick with Ulsen, who takes it long and towards the far end of Hampden Park. Augustinsson, who's had quite a good few touches for a left back so far. Lindelof likewise, and Larsen. It's all got a bit scrappy, a bit gung-ho with a couple of aerial balls rather than keeping it on the floor. As I say that, Shaparenko gets it on the floor and now turns back on himself. 10 minutes gone, still goalless, and he goes back instead to Matvienko, the number 20, make a difference. And Yaremchuk with the 1-2. Yarmolenko, I thought, did really well, in fact, Rob, to cut the ball back. We'll bring it back in now because they're near the halfway line. But rather than go for goal himself, that was the better option. Maybe just a lack of power on the shot.
Yeah, it was a great move, though. I think it was just a fake to play it, and then Sweden sort of switched off, and then it was a second move to slip it through. A little burst of pace. The 1-2 worked to perfection. The shot, it did force a decent save as the ball is back with Bushkan after a tricky little piece of control from a quite vigorous back pass. But Ukraine, I said they defended a lot, but lovely little interchange at the edge of the box. They forced the save. Olsen's come up big, and he's definitely onside, having seen the replay. Didn't quite come out of the sweet spot, did it? Maybe slightly miscued it a fraction, but he hit the target. He made Olsen do something, and Olsen came up with the goods. So first chance, despite Sweden looking the more aggressive of the two sides going forward, first chance goes to Ukraine.
Decent start from both Sweden and Ukraine in the early stages of this game. Still goalless, but a chance apiece. I guess half a chance for Sweden, but still none of these two teams able to take it. The first opportunity, a half effort from Kovalevsky, shot in the box, blocked for a corner, which eventually came to nothing after Forsberg's delivery was cleared. And then for Ukraine, Yaremchuk with a 1-2 with Yarmolenko. The winger stayed on side and was able to cut the ball back for his number 9, who didn't strike the ball too cleanly. And in the end, Olsen was able to make quite a routine save. But after absorbing plenty of pressure, Ukraine have shown what they can do on the counter. Hopefully the tempo of the game picks up from here and we'll get a few goals. Still goalless.
Sweden go on the attack down the left-hand side. It's been quite noticeable in the game so far as Forsberg, this time the cross is into the box. Sweden have had a couple of set pieces and they're asking questions in around the box. Here they go again down the right.
Yeah, chance then. It's into the penalty area. Ball towards the far post. And Forsberg was the man that met the cross from Kovalevsky. He applauds the pass from his centre forward, who in turn will applaud the ball down the line from him towards Lustig. It was a lovely, crisp pass that really set him on his way. First time for a while that Ukraine was stretched there, Robin. I don't think that's a terrible ball in. Forsberg's just got a little bit underneath it, and it's one of those opportunities that perhaps if he had it again, he'd take it a bit better.
Yeah, I think he's just a fraction too high, isn't it? I can't blame the cross. I can't really blame Olsen. It's just maybe 2 inches too high, and it just hit the top of his head rather than the meat of the head. Yeah, he's good ball in, swinging, good ball. He's isolated, one-on-one far post, and as I say, that's only a matter of inches away from being absolutely perfect. So the threat is there. They're just not coming off for Sweden. We keep talking about shots, throughout the tournament, shots on target. England, of course, don't have any, but keep winning games. And Sweden haven't had any yet. Here comes Isaac. Could be an opportunity. It goes for the side foot, but it's wide of the far post. Ukraine just backed off. And Isaac, a little bit frustrated that he didn't at least hit the target.
Yeah, just curling one wide, isn't he? It's a crisp effort from him. He gets into some good space, and too much space, as you've mentioned there, Rob. They allowed a simple ball inside, and they were outnumbered. He let it roll across his body, which is a tough skill. Little touch, just couldn't get the purchase. All the curl on the effort. And another chance goes begging with now the keeper having to do much of late. Of course, Olsen has had to make a save to deny Yaremchuk. 20 minutes gone, still Sweden 0, Ukraine 0. You can see why Isaac causes problems. He's got bags of pace. He's in some good areas so far.
Well, Kulusevski's just got involved, hasn't he? Last couple of attacks, he's got involved down the right, down the left. I mean, he plays for Juventus, so he's played in big games. He will be one of their more biggest attacking threats, and he's just suddenly turned up. And obviously, his little bit of energy, his quality, he's creating chances for others. A little bit of pace as well from him and Isaac. And Ukraine looked a little bit stretched, but then it's a disappointing shot. But yeah, you've got to hit the target. You won't score if you don't hit the target.
No, certainly will not. And it's a good point about the centre forward Kovalevsky. He has started to get a little bit more involved. Noticing him dropping just a little bit further off Isaac, almost if he's playing as a number 10, to try and link up the players. Ukraine go from right to left. It's a crossfield ball that's perfect for Zinchenko to take a touch and now try and run at Lustig. He's got two for company though with Larsson back there. Back into the number 10, who's been given a bit more time there in Shaparenko. Back wide to Zinchenko again, who looks further down the line, trying to pick the pass. Inside they come. Matvienko now across to Christoph. Zabani takes it out of his feet. He's not going too intently towards goal. It's rather lethargic from him, but he keeps possession. The ball inside. Oh, it's a crucial slip that from Yaremchuk, who was the target of the pass. Ukraine get the ball back there. A sloppy bit of play from Sweden. A key bit of work from Shaparenko has come from left to right. Now he's lurking in the box towards the far post. Ball drilled towards him, headed up and away, only for the time being by Lindelof, and Sweden will clear. Ukraine get the throw. Important header, Rob, because the Ukraine player was coming in on the overlapping run. I think he would have had a free header otherwise.
Yeah, it's a different kind of cross, wasn't it? Just fizzed in quite hard with the outside of the boot, if anything, from right-footed on the right wing. So it was always going to be difficult for a Ukraine player to get on the end of it. But yeah, just that little burst. They were playing the patient approach, knocking it around on the halfway line, and then all of a sudden there's a little burst forward. We haven't seen too much of it from the men in blue so far, but just encouragement there. Again, I would still say it's more cagey than attacking, so that first goal seems a long way off at the moment.
Sweden clear their lines again, which this time it's Danielsson. Quick throw-in was an option for Karavayev, but he decides against it, keeps it pretty compact, and now into midfield for Sidorchuk, who is starting to come into the game. He's the man that's been playing a couple of these crossfield balls. Zinchenko. Ball in behind, it was too far in front of Yaremchuk. Not the worst pass. If Shaparenko could have been a little bit closer to it, but it has eventually gone behind into the hands of Olsen. Halfway point of the first half, and still Sweden 0, Ukraine 0, with chances Not as, I guess, as many as we would have liked, but there's been a good opportunity for Isa to try and curl one in towards the far corner. The striker managed to latch onto a through ball from the left-hand side, managed to let it come across his body, open up his body, just couldn't curl it into the far corner past Bushkan. But the likes of Yarmolenko and Shaparenko have been getting involved for Ukraine, starting to find a bit of space, and hopefully for Karavayev and Matyenko, it will create more space on the overlap as well. But as it stands, it is still Sweden 0, Ukraine 0.
Yeah, here it's Kuzeletsevsky down the right again, but that's a poor cross this time. He went the low route, but it's easily dealt with by Ukraine. Zinchenko is playing out on the left today. Last match, of course, against Austria, he was in the centre of the pitch, and he was pretty ineffectual in truth, but hugging that touchline can at least keep Sweden honest, keep that back four stretched. He's just not been able to get as far forward as often as he may be used to, playing for Manchester City, of course, but he certainly won't be afraid to, as Forsberg comes very deep to get involved this time. He made a bright start to the game for Sweden as an attacking force, but he's gone a little bit quiet as well. This game has settled down. I'm not trying to put listeners off it, but I think it's very much cat and mouse. He who blinks blinks first might regret it, and I think they're more worried about conceding that first goal than scoring it. Here's Kulusevski working hard to win the ball back for Sweden inside the Ukraine half, although then it's played back by Ekdal to Lindelof, and Ukraine have got all barring Yaremchuk behind the ball, and Ekdal dispossessed by Shaparenko. Won back by Ekdal, but illegally, says the referee. Yarmolenko eased off the ball. And that'll be a free kick to Ukraine, just inside their own half. And he's coming very deep there to get the ball, Yarmolenko. He has been quite quiet.
Yeah, it has. I mean, he had that little cutback for Yaremchuk, but I think that's the only time we've had to mention him, Rob, for a little ball inside. He was, he's their captain, he's their talisman in that final third. You would like to see him be able to stick to the flanks and then cut inside, but a lack of possession is no good for him. Need to get him involved, get his confidence up. It'll only help their cause as the game goes on. But I think you made a good point about Forsberg. He's gone quiet. Larsson hasn't really done too much, but Isaac and his fellow centre forward Kulevsky have stepped up a little bit. So the momentum is ever changing in the game, and Ukraine perhaps coming back into it after a bit of Sweden dominance.
Yeah, Ukraine definitely want Yarmolenko involved in the right end of the pitch. They've only got two players in double figures in goals scored for the national team, and of course Yarmolenko's got 42, so he's easily their top scorer in this particular squad. Goals have been hard to come by in the tournament. I personally thought they were played off the park by the Netherlands, but then had 2 goals in 4 minutes, and all of a sudden it's a different game. But I think it's been a real struggle for them going forward, as they've got more defending to do, but that's just asking a little bit too much of Augustinsson. He's done really well to get there ahead of Karavayev, but then trying to keep the ball, has to go back towards Forsberg. Lofts it into the box. Kulusevski, what's he doing? He seemed to duck. Was he letting it run? Was he trying to get ahead? Did he miss? It's bounced through to the keeper, but I'm not sure what Kulusevski was trying to do there.
No, me neither. Those opportunities have not come around too often. You think he'd try and do everything he can to latch onto that, but yeah, he's we've just been praising him for getting involved a little bit more, and unfortunately now I have to start criticising for the wrong reasons. But yeah, positioning wise, I'd like to think it was decent enough to try and claw the positives out of that move, but I'm sure his coach will be having a word.
Ukraine back in possession, but they are deep inside their own half as they try and come forward down at the left. Zinchenko just slows it up, waiting for Yaremchuk to get downfield, but Swedish defenders following, might have even gone offside. That's a good looking crossfield ball though from Shaparenko to Karavayev, back to Yarmolenko, onto his strong left, now back onto his right, outside the boot, Zinchenko with a chance, drilled shot, and it's gone through the keeper. There is the first goal, power back finish from Zinchenko, bit of quality from Yarmolenko, and it's Ukraine that have taken the lead. Zinchenko is going crazy in his celebration, but I'm not sure you can blame Olsen for that. He got a hand on it, but the strike is from 10 yards out, and he couldn't keep it out.
Ukraine strike first at Hampden Park, and it is a really powerful drive down the left-hand side from the Man City player Zinchenko. Great bit of work from Yarmolenko, who inside the box went one way then the other, seemed to be going for goal, but right at the last second he's curled the ball round the outside of his left boot. I think at first looking for Shaparenko, but the man at the far post, Zinchenko, was in the right place at the right time. He's drilled it towards goal with his left peg, kept it nice and low. Technique-wise from Zinchenko, it's near perfect. Could the keeper have done a little bit more? Perhaps. He got a hand to it, but it's just purely the venom on the shot has sent it underneath his palm and into the back of the net. It's Sweden 0, Ukraine 1.
Looking at a replay, Larsson has turned and tried to block the shot, but by jumping, it's ended up going sort of underneath him, and I don't think that would have helped Olsen. Yeah, he's got a hand on it, and I suppose keepers, if they get a hand on it, they will think they could save it. But it was hit hard from fairly close range. I'm not going to say Ukraine have deserved it, but they're the ones that have actually hit the target twice in this game, and Sweden, who might have been in and around the box, haven't forced too much out of Bushkan, but they've got an opportunity to at least test him from this set piece. It's a free kick that's too far out to directly go for goal. Referee is just having a chat with Shaparenko. He's got a smile on his face. I'm not sure if it's not retreating, whether he said something. Either way, it was only a chat. As 29 minutes ticks over. Sweden 0, Ukraine 1. Ukraine just having taken the lead. Oh, it is an attempt at goal, trying to catch the keeper off his line and just diving to his right. He's palmed it round the post, palmed rather than fingertipped, and that will be a corner.
Yeah, it's crafty, isn't it? Right out of the Larsson playbook. We've seen him over the years try a few things. It's a great effort in terms of his curl. It actually gives the keeper a little bit too much of a chance. It isn't right in the corner. The keeper's positioning isn't as bad as perhaps it could have been, and at least he gets his hand to it. But in terms of a warning sign, he's shown his playbook there, Rob Larsson. I think the keeper will expect it now for the rest of the night.
It's going to be an in-swinging corner from the Swedish right towards the far post, and again, all the yellow shirts are ahead of the keeper, who's then under no pressure to make the claim at that far post, and that's something that Sweden will have to improve. But obviously forcing a save moments ago out of the keeper. It's certainly heading inside the post from Seb Larsson, just perhaps wasn't struck as hard as it could have been to really catch the keeper off his line. But good technique, made him work, got a set piece out of it. Obviously Sweden need more than that, well, they certainly will do over the next hour, because they're trailing Ukraine by a goal to nil with 15 minutes left of the first period. Kereveev with a throw in halfway inside the Swedish half, down the right, looking for options, in no rush at the moment. Sidorchuk makes a run, pretty static with the rest of them. Yarmolenko tries to go around Augustinsson, wins the free kick. He's gone down clutching his face. I think this is a little bit over the top. I'm not saying there wasn't contact. Well, I am saying that, having seen a replay, there's very little contact there.
Yeah, the arm started to come up, didn't it? But I think he actually got his palm in the way first. I think he's just trying to milk this a little bit, Rob, to be honest.
Yeah, you just wonder if VAR would ever overturn these things. But he's getting up now, doesn't need treatment. The free kick is right out on the touchline. Maybe a couple of yards in. It's within the 18 yards of the box of the goal line as well. This is how close it is. Not going to go for goal. It's going to be a cross into the middle. Shaparenko is stood over it. Away swinging, right-footed delivery coming up. And it's gone towards the near post. Overhead kick might make it to the far post. It's a poor clearance. Yarmolenko, right-footed shot underneath it over the bar. Again, I mean, it was a little bit lucky the way it ended up at Yarmolenko's foot there, but half a chance.
Yeah, again, you know, this is the sort of player he is. He feeds off this sort of service where he can make something out of nothing. And again, I think you mentioned it earlier that he was a bit quiet, but his confidence is starting to grow after that assist for Zinchenko. It was there to be hit. I mean, to score from there would have been some feat. It wasn't easy to get through the crowd of bodies, but there was perhaps worse options out there. He could have tried to cross to a player that was, I think Sweden had it covered really defensively, and he could have caught him out. So I think he's one of those that you've just got to have a bit of a free rein at times, a little bit like Forsberg for Sweden.
Yeah, it was on his swinger as well, not renowned for his right-footed goals. Couldn't quite keep it down. Sweden, a bit more urgency coming forward. Forsberg up towards Kulusevski, who turns, or tries to turn at least. Sidorchuk gets half a yard of space, works the 1-2 with Ekdal, then tried to find Isaac in the box, but that pass never looked like it was going to reach its destination. And it's half cleared. Zinchenko makes short, then it goes further downfield into the Swedish half, in fact. And a combination of Lindelof and Danielsson work it back to Olsen, despite the attempts of Yaremchuk, and Sweden can come out a little bit more slowly. Olsen looking for options, has to go sideways to Danielsson. Now Kulusevski dropping very deep, back to Olsen, who rise the challenge of Yaremchuk. Wants a free kick, he's not going to get it. Looked a little bit of a foul there, but Ukraine aren't standing on ceremony. Here they come on the attack. Yarmolenko, right wing, on the left foot, but Danielsson knows that, and he's gone round the outside. Danielsson's done well to get back and at least hold him up. Support comes from Karavayev. And then Sweden have actually got everybody back behind the ball. Ukraine forced all the way back to the halfway line, but they're making Sweden work defensively simply by that width. Obviously, it's Zinchenko is trying to keep it wide on the left. On that occasion, it was Yarmolenko, a more attacking player, to start with, keeping it wide on the right. And keeping that back four honest. Perhaps lacking numbers in the middle, as... I think that's Sepenenko who's just caught Kulusevski. That'll be a free kick to Sweden, just inside the Ukraine half.
Yes, slightly getting his body across at the right time there. The Sweden centre forward does the sort of a job his team need him to do as a striker when they've not had too much of the ball, win early free kicks. And I think you're on the money about 15 minutes ago about Forsberg, Rob. You were suggesting he'd gone a little bit quiet. He's now got his first touch for a long time, brings it out of his feet. Hopefully he can do something, but I mean, I understand tactically they can't just start giving him the ball constantly because it becomes a bit too easy to read, but he's still their best player, and you'd like to see him start to drift inside a little bit more like he has done now. And you've got to credit Ukraine really, because they are smothering them in midfield.
Here come Sweden, as it's Kulusevski again looks for the run of Isaac. That's a better looking pass, but it still won't reach its target. Zinchenko clears it out of play off Larsson as well. That's a throw in to Ukraine. Both well, Larsson seems upset by that. It did look as though it was blocked by Larsson. I don't know what he's complaining about. Zinchenko is clearly up for this. He went crazy after the goal, and it's a noticeable round of applause for the linesman about a throw in. Maybe that indicates it wasn't quite as clear cut. Oh, that's a good header forward too. Forsberg takes it down on the chest. Ekdal bringing it forward just outside the D, and fakes the shot, draws it, the slide, then plays it out to the right. Deep cross, too deep from a Swedish viewpoint. Helped out of play by Karavayev with Gustafsson on the overlap. Needed dealing with, but the initial cross from that right-hand side wasn't the best. Isaac's probably the one Swedish player struggling to get involved in this game, but of course he needs the service, which isn't quite coming. Ball down the channel for Gustafsson, wins the header, but then it's cleared, only as to Forsberg. So the edge of box to Kulusevski, back to Forsberg, infield to Olsen. Great sliding challenge coming in, but there's still an overlap from the right-hand side, but that's a poor cross from Lustig. Might have even hit his left leg before he crossed it with his right, and it's just easy to claim for Bushkan, but they just for a moment had Ukraine on the stretch.
Yeah, they did. I thought that tackle was just what the doctor ordered, in terms of they were starting to get a bit more confidence, players flying in, and that challenge just maybe stopped them in their track. I know they still have the chance to cross it through the right channel, but you know, that player that was on the ball was crunched. A fair challenge. The referee did really well to let the player go. A couple of referees around Europe might have blown up there, but the ball was won clearly. But yeah, Sweden's last few minutes have started to try and dictate play a little bit more, but Isaac would have had a touch there, Rob, if he didn't decide to dummy it to nobody. I think he's forgot he's the last man up front, and he can't dummy it in behind when his team are near the halfway line. So maybe half time could be the tonic for Sweden, who look like they need a bit of a refresh on their tactics.
Yeah, he's struggling to get involved, but he had his chance there again. Ukraine applaud the linesman because
do you think the linesman and Ukraine are getting on here?
Well, they're getting the decisions. Ekdal looked absolutely furious, didn't he? As did Larsson over the other side. But I mean, it's a throw-in. It's not like it's a penalty, as we see the goal again. This time from camera angle behind the goal, literally top of the stanchion, perhaps just opposite Zinchenko. Look at that face, Tom. He's absolutely crazy. Why is he so pumped up?
Well, I mean, it's an important game, I guess, isn't it, for them? If they can get through to the quarters, either of these two teams, I think it'd mean more to Ukraine. Of course, we know Sweden have gone further in the comp of late, and Ukraine perhaps not getting results over the years they should have done. I don't know, maybe he had a really resounding team talk, the manager, Zinchenko, before the game. But yeah, I know what you mean. I didn't actually quite see it. I was making notes when he scored the goal. But yeah, he was very fired up as Sweden come forward and Ukraine cleared their line, still at 1-0 up.
Yeah, Olsen just couldn't quite control it as he would have liked. Got away from him, and it was stabbed away by Krivtsov just in the D. Sweden have possession back in their own half. Lindelof forward to Kulusevski, who's obviously popping up all over the place for Sweden, as is Forsberg again, this time right channel, same side as Kulusevski, but it's near the halfway line. Ukraine won't mind the pair of them back there. With around about 7 minutes to go to the break, obviously Ukraine lead by a goal to nil. Here comes Sweden. Kulusevski, little 1-2, half stop. Seb Larsson, edge of the box, lifts it towards Isaac. No, it's over Isaac. He's kept alive by Augustinsson, who gets it back into it. The middle is behind everybody, and Matvichenko is able to clear. Sweden trying to keep it alive, but that header from Kulusevski just goes away from Olsen. Still Swedish possession. Kulusevski now into Larsson, who trying to back here, which didn't quite work. Yeah, Remchuk's back there trying to help out defensively, though. Trying to head it while prone on the deck as well. Ukraine obviously trying to protect their advantage. Now they've got a chance to counter. Shaparenko's just about dug it out from under his feet. That just moment's hesitation has allowed one or two extra Swedish defenders to get back in position. And that's a poor pass out towards Yarmolenko. Too close to Danielson. He wins it back. Poor clearance up to the halfway line. The men in blue have it back. A little over 5 minutes left of the first half. Not a half that's been filled with chances, but one has been taken. Zinchenko as well, the left wing back, who fired home from close range. My thing about that celebration is it's the sort of celebration that I wouldn't be surprised if he went and did something rash.
Yeah, like kick someone or running to the crowd, or I mean, it's almost as, was it the Hungary one against France when they ran near the reporter? But yeah, very great passion. We'll break off with Sweden coming to the box, appealing for a penalty, told to get to his feet is the centre forward Kovalevsky, and I think having commentated with Rob for nearly a decade now, that he'll be well on side with what the referee has just given there.
Yeah, definitely, he's gone down. I mean, that would be given in the Premier League, and it might well be given in the Premier League next season, but they're not giving those penalties in this tournament. Hence, it's a better tournament as Ukraine have it back in their own half. Nice little pirouette from Shaparenko. Bit of space on the right for Karavayev, who does usually like to get forward. We saw that against Austria, but he's been quite defensive so far. Ukraine are leading. I imagine that's playing its part. Back into the centre circle the ball comes to Stepanenko. And Ukraine quite content just to knock it around. They're leading, no urgency. Sweden not really laying much of a glove. There aren't too many blue shirts in and around the box though. And well, Sweden aren't exactly putting the press on either. So Ukraine just content, left, right, back into their own half, waiting to be closed down as time ticks down at the end of this first half. There's still about 3.5 minutes to go. Little 1-2 attempted between Zabani and Karavayev. Doesn't quite work, and Sweden have the ball back inside their own half with Manchester United's Victor Lindelof. Ekdal comes deep out towards Forsberg, left half of the Ukraine half. But the pass then is back to the halfway line. There seemed to be a little bit more direct in the early stages of the game, but perhaps a little bit more patient at the moment. Sweden, it's not quite working because Bushkan hasn't had too much to do. Augustinsson gets across him from the left, but it's well cleared by Kvtsov. And a good header as well. Plenty of depth on his clearance. Throw-in is Sweden's halfway inside the Ukraine half, which they have taken. Olsen comes deep. Little back heel from Isaac. Finds Kulisevsky. Now Larson back into Isaac, lining up a shot. Space not there for him. Instead finds Forsberg. He does pull the trigger. Took a deflection. Oh, it's in the back of the net. And we said he'd gone quiet. Now he's certainly not. Forsberg has the goal. Sweden are back on terms just before half-time. And it's Sweden 1, Ukraine 1.
Sweden turn to their talisman of Euro 2020, and Forsberg gets a goal after a very quiet and tame first half. With just a couple of minutes to go into the interval at Hampden Park, Forsberg strikes. Isaac managed to hold up the ball, play out into his teammate, who hits it left-footed. Not sure if it was going in. Actually took a deflection first, and the defender, which it struck, I think it's number 4, Christoph, that's got in the way of it, but it's whipped its way into the air past the keeper, who's helpless, and it is a great strike. In fact, it is the number 13, Zabani, that has got in the way of it, but not enough. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1, game on just before half-time.
Yeah, there's no doubt that deflection has helped Sweden. I mean, it's still a decent strike, but the benefit there for Sweden was it bounced it into the ground, and then it was always rising for a keeper who had already committed to a sort of low save. The ball just kept going up and up and up, and he couldn't quite react. But back on terms, game back on, as another challenge comes in, this time from Matvienko, who plays it off Kulisevsky as well in the process. No real complaints from Sweden this time that the throw-in has gone the Ukraine's way. Certainly a hint of fortune, more than a hint. It was fortunate for Sweden, but Ukraine lacked that sort of urgency to go for the second. Not unexpected, but it's a different game now with the last minute to be played at the end of this first half. 1-1. Hampden sets it up, I suppose, for the second half. And of course, there remains the prospect of extra time and penalties, but a few of those already. I'm not sure there'll be too much added time at the end of this first period, because there haven't been too many stoppages, injuries, or anything like that. As the ball down the right channel is asking Isaac to chase, but he's never going to beat Matvienko to the ball, and Ukraine clear. Stepanenko brings it down, plays it forward towards Yaremchuk, but it's not a great pass. 45 minutes ticks over. Zinchenko is walking off. They're not playing any added time. So a cagey start, but Ukraine took the lead. Sweden hit back pretty much on the stroke of half-time, and this game is anybody's. At the break, Sweden 1, Ukraine 1.
2 goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko, attacked by the Man City defender, who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times, but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg, the RB Leipzig midfielder, drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past, and unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko, attacked by the Man City defender, who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times, but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg, the RB Leipzig midfielder, drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past, and unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko, attacked by the Man City defender, who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times, but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg, the RB Leipzig midfielder, drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past, and unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. The opening coming from Zinchenko. A ball across the face of goal from Yarmolenko. Attacked by the Man City defender who drilled the ball into the floor. Wilson unable to make the save. Sweden huffed and puffed at times but got their reward when Isaac teed up Forsberg. The RB Leipzig midfielder drilling a shot towards goal. It took a deflection on its way past. And unfortunately for Ukraine, Bushkan couldn't keep it at bay. So it is 1-1 at Hampden Park at half-time. Goals in the first half at Hampden Park. Sweden in possession across the back four. It is one apiece as you rejoin us at the start of the second half of the game at Hampden Park in Scotland. And while the sun was out, nothing to do with where the game is taking place. Of course, nightfall is starting to creep in, and we are having a little bit cooler conditions for the players. Sweden in possession. If you just joined us and did miss all of the first half, again, if you missed the England game as well, a 2-0 success ago over Germany. It was Zinchenko that opened the scoring in the 27th minute. That was cancelled out by a fantastic strike from Forsberg with power, but in terms of luck, it was certainly something that was helped on its way by a deflection from Ukraine, and it crept its way past Bashkan in goal. So teams as follows. Sweden have just been knocking the ball around their own centre-back position. It is Sweden go with Olsen, Augustinsson, Danielsson, Lindelof and Lustig, Forsberg, Ekdal, Olsen, Larsen, Kovalevsky and Isaac. And as for Ukraine, it is Bushkan, Karavayev, Zabani, Kristov, Matyenko, Sidorchuk, Stepanenko, Zinchenko, and then up front it's Yarmolenko and Shaparenko flanking Yarmachuk. Myself, Tom Hill and Rob Eddy will bring you all the action for the rest of this game. Rob, when I asked him at the start of the game, expected a cagey affair, a bit of a slow burner, and it turned out to be that. Both the goals coming after a good chunk of the match had taken place at 27 minutes for Zinchenko. And I think Sweden, perhaps, Rob, could have been classed as a little fortunate to get an equaliser after some of their tame play. But as we are, one apiece, and hopefully a few more goals in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a couple of chances. Obviously, is that we've had a goal each, but there was a deflection. I mean, Sweden getting into good positions, but the final ball, the final cross is not quite happening. It's not quite been as cagey as I thought it might be. Sweden were in possession high up the field. But, I mean, Ukraine got the lead. It was a good goal, well worked, and they were content to be in front, but every so often they just stretch Sweden. They didn't go all out for the second, but I did think they kept Sweden at arm's length. You know, they weren't in too much trouble. You might say they were a bit stretched for the shot, but there's no doubt it was lucky because it took a deflection which did Bushkan no favours whatsoever. But having got that bit of luck, Sweden have started the second half quite brightly on the front foot, but haven't quite found an opening yet. There's only 3 minutes gone in the second half, but they've had most of the possession, and Ukraine are just trying to clear their lines. I mean, it's early in the second half to say that the game has changed, but there's certainly a little bit more confidence at 1-1 for Sweden than there was at 1-0.
Yeah, pretty confident. Ukraine on the attack down the left-hand side. It's worked all its way back out towards Karavayev, who's probably the furthest forward we've seen him all match. Not often you got into those areas. Yarmolenko across the face of goal, and it's a important block that from Danielson, who, if he doesn't get it right, he could easily be kicking the ball into the back of his own net. And this is the tournament, Rob, of own goals, of course.
Yeah, there's been, 9, I think, something like that. Yeah, it's a good ball in. I mean, if he'd have got the shout, I think he could leave it, and it's not a problem. There's only Yaremchuk in the box, and I think the ball's too far ahead of him. But, you know, obviously as a defender, you don't assume anything. Just deal with the situation. That's exactly what he does. So he did. So he's done it pretty well, Danielson. Off balance, facing his own goal, could have easily backfired. But, yeah, I was just saying, of course, Sweden were on top. But now Ukraine are just enjoying a little bit of possession in the Swedish half. The first back heel from Sidorchuk didn't quite work, but Ukraine have it back. But it's a fairly even game, isn't it? Both sides had chances. Obviously, it's 1-1. They've had the moments, and I couldn't pick a winner right now.
Yeah, it'll be very tough at this moment. Of course, subs could play their part as well. Ukraine in possession with Shaparenko. He goes back into the left-hand position for Matyenko, and now Shaparenko, for a second, escapes from Ekdal. Ekdal gets back, covers that route that he wanted to try and play a pass, and Ukraine are forced all the way back into their own half. And Forsberg leads the charge for Sweden. Out to the right-hand side, a long ball back into the middle. Lindelof, I think, has done quite well tonight. He's dealt with everything that's been thrown at him, both in the air and on the floor. He's been pretty composed back there alongside his centre-back Danielson. Subs for Sweden at centre-half. They have got a couple of those. Should they need them, as defensively, of course, they'll hope to shut up shop for what will be a famous win as they try and book their place in the quarterfinals of Euro 2020, as Ekdal again goes into the middle of the park. That ball that time, though, was from Olsen. Olsen's pass cleared away. Forsberg picks up the pieces. Just that Ukraine get a bit sloppy there in possession. Now here is with Lustig. Out wide it goes to the right-hand side. It's with Kovalevsky again. He was looking for a drill ball in towards the near the penalty spot. He did get that. Did cause a bit of confusion for Ukraine, who now have to concede a throw-in. But Ukraine a little sloppy there. Of course, if Sweden do win, they'll play England, and it'll be another famous knockout game for the two teams in back-to-back tournaments. So they played at the 2018 World Cup. As here is Forsberg. I'm sure Sweden are not thinking about that just yet. Early the days, but I think now, Rob, they're certainly the team in the ascendancy dictating the play. Ukraine going back into that shell of theirs, which we've seen throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that at the start of the first half. Lots of possession for Sweden, and obviously we were talking about Forsberg being at least involved, but there was never quite an end ball, was there? There was a ball over the top. Olsen's miles out of his area to stop Yarmolenko getting on the end of that, because Yarmolenko was ahead of the defenders. He was, I think Sweden were appealing for an offside, but the offside hasn't been given, so I mean, it's probably lucky that Olsen was that far outside his box, otherwise it's a one-on-one situation for Yarmolenko. But if you're England, or England fans watching this, there has been nothing that's gone on in 52 minutes that is going to frighten you at all.
Yeah, cue a England defeat in a couple of days' time. All joking aside, as England did impress earlier, a lot more defensively sound than these two have been as it stands. Of course, England not conceding yet again, as Ukraine on the back foot once more in possession, but going back the opposite way. Across the back four they go. That time it was Kristov across to Matvienko, who we haven't seen too much of this evening in an attacking sense. I think Ukraine would like to see him get a little bit further forward into some space, but they're also quite wary of the threat coming the other way. As here they come down the right-hand side, this time with Yarmolenko. He fires the ball in across the face of goal. It's back out to the edge of the box. Shot's going to come in. The less said about that shot, yeah, the better. Again, there was one of those in the first half, and Stepanenko is not known for his long-range efforts, and when you see replays like that, Rob, you can pretty much understand why.
Yeah, I think he felt the pressure coming from behind, and he probably shot earlier than he wanted to. Again, Yarmolenko is finding a little bit of space down the right-hand side. He's not afraid to use his right foot. Maybe West Ham fans might think he prefers his left, but I mean, he's put it in there. My problem for Ukraine is that they don't have enough bodies in the box. Yarmolenko's got to pick out Yaremchuk, and that there aren't any other options. Certainly at times, Sweden load the box, 3-4 players at least, and the cross doesn't have to be inch perfect. Here come Sweden again. Forsberg pulling the strings.
Back into midfield, Larsen has time to go for goal. Right-footed strike, it just whips past the post. No appeal for a corner. And Ukraine's defence breathed a sigh of relief, because, I mean, you don't let anyone have a free shot. You might let a holding midfielder now and again, once in a blue moon, but not someone of Seb Larsen's quality. Surely, Rob, it was something they got away with there, Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know he can hit the target. He hit the target further out from a free kick. Admittedly, that was a stationary ball. A decent strike. I think, in fairness to Bushkan, he's got it covered. It's not that far away, but I think if it's inside the post, then Bushkan makes the save. But again, it's Sweden asking the questions. Ukraine so far, they've got all the answers. I mean, they're just struggling to break Ukraine down. I know you could argue there's more defenders back there and it's difficult, but Yarmolenko for me has got that little bit of trickery that might open up Sweden, whereas I'm struggling to work out who's got that creativity for the men in yellow.
See what the men in yellow can do defensively here as Yarmolenko's on the ball. Into the box it comes, lays it off to the edge of the area. Shot comes in, it hits the post. And a big opportunity. Referee points for a goal kick, and he falls to his knees, does Sidorchuk, because I think he feels he should be doing better. Shevchenko, a goal scorer in his heyday, would probably not have missed this one from here. It isn't the easiest technique in terms of wrapping it around the defence, but you got such a clean strike on the ball. You might have had a better chance if it had actually been a bit more of a scuffed effort. Even goes for the harder corner to score in, Rob, rather than across the goal. But this is what I like about this Ukraine team. They don't seem to do too much. You expect them to be on the back foot, or all of a sudden, like they did in the first half, they pop up with a little reminder that they're in this game. Yeah, I mean, Yarmolenko there, I mean, he must have had the shout there, because he didn't look over his shoulder once. He's looking across, and, you know, Yaremchuk's in the 18-yard box, but then it's a no-look reverse pass, absolutely inch perfect. Sidorchuk running onto it, nice strike at the outside of the post, just started too wide. Here goes Yarmolenko again. Danielson at least has held him up, but Yarmolenko still has it. Heavy touch in midfield. It's allowed Olsen to get there first. Isaac gets across. Now they're on the attack. He's coming forward with real pace, the Sweden striker. It's a 4-on-3. He's got an overlap here. Is Forsberg into a shooting opportunity. Can he get onto his right foot? He can. Oh, he hits the post. I thought that took a slight deflection on its way towards goal. Should he have hit it first time? Forsberg looks to the sky in disbelief. This game is getting a bit more end-to-end now. Right-footed effort. Did it hit the shoulder? It might not have done. and just hits the foot of the post, or rather than the earlier shot that hit the top, this one just about dipping. And unfortunately for Sweden's point of view, it bounces wide. I think it will be a goal kick.
Yeah, the pace shown by Isaac there, he just turned his man in midfield, and then there was no getting back from players behind Isaac. Then it's a 4-on-3. I mean, it's a great run from Forsberg. He stayed left, stayed in space, and credit to Isaac, he picked him out. He could have looked at closer options, but it was absolutely the right ball. And again, that's just a matter of inches. It's the outside of the post, like Sidorchuk's was. You could argue that Forsberg's effort actually started on target, but then just kept drifting. Whereas Sidorchuk was outside the post and curling back in, just not curling enough. But yeah, we're just talking about Ukraine and their quality in the final third. Sweden responded, both denied by the woodwork.
Lively start to this second half between Sweden and Ukraine at Hampden Park. Both sides have hit the upright, still just one apiece though. Sidorchuk hit it first, a right-footed curling effort towards the near post, which rattled the upright, giving the keeper very little to do. He didn't have much time to react, and the upright saved and spared his bushes. At the other end, Larsen had a shot towards goal that just fizzed wide, and 3 minutes later, Forsberg hit the post. Isaac's pace unlocking the defence, a little cushion ball across the park into Forsberg's path, who hit the foot of the post with a right-footed curling effort. So hopefully we get more of this in the second half. It is one apiece.
Yeah, just coming up to the hour mark. Maybe the managers will be thinking about a change. Obviously, Forsberg's been in and out, but showing his class there, just didn't quite come back in enough. And Yarmolenko pulling the strings. Unfortunately for Ukraine, I suppose, the chances aren't falling for either him or Yaremchuk, as that's a poor clearance from Matvienko down the left for Ukraine. So Sweden have got a high starting position in possession as Olsen comes infield. Plenty of blue shirts back at the moment. Olsen still has it. Now Forsberg just inside the fullback. Augustensen fires it across, and that's turned away by Matvienko. Much like Danielsson did at the other end for Sweden, throwing himself towards his own goal to a ball that's in the air. He's managed to clear it. Still with Augustensen, left-hand side. This time it's a high cross. Hits the knees of Zinchenko. Goes back towards goal, but that's comfortable for Bushkin. Far from convincing, though, from Ukraine defensively. That last attack. And all of a sudden, they're getting opened up.
Yeah, they are. That was a decent clearance. As you say, Rob, it was a mirror image in terms of the risk for the Sweden clearance earlier in the piece. Did think Larsen there was a bit lucky to not give a free kick away. I mean, it was soft, but he showed no intent of winning the ball when jumping up for a header. And if he would have done, I think he'd have had the opportunity to unsettle the Ukraine defence. But in just backing out and trying to back into the player, he pretty much gave Ukraine the opportunity to clear their lines. But yeah, I've been pretty impressed with the start we've had. We're nearly at the hour mark. It is still at one apiece, as we say. As Olsen now on the ball, he goes wide right, looking for Forsberg. Forsberg's pass was a bit of a hospital ball, and he just put the arm up to apologise to his teammates, because that was pretty poor, to say the least. Here is Lindelof into the park, middle of the park for Ekdal. And Olsen, Ekdal, the one that's charging forward, looking over the top for Isaac, who sets off on his way right for his strike towards goal, and he's fired wide. I'm not sure if the offside flag was going to come up and spare his bushes. I think the linesman's just put his flag down after the camera panned very quickly. I'm sure we'll get Rob's thoughts on that in a second. We'll get the ball over the top. He does look slightly off. It's a great idea, though. It's not a great finish.
No, it's a poor finish, isn't it? And Ukraine are blinking first. They're making a change. Shaparenko is departing the action. I think he's looked quite lively in bits, but it's probably not sustained sort of pressure that he's applying. It might do a good move, but then he goes a bit AWOL. Malinovsky is the man who's coming on in his place. The Atalanta for midfielder, so there's plenty of experience for him. Just didn't quite do enough. Shaparenko. I don't think Yaremchuk's done enough, but of course he's this, the tip of the spear, and they haven't quite fed him. Yarmolenko, I think, obviously should stay on the field, and so Ukraine have blinked first. They want more involvement from their forward players, and it's Malinovsky who's come on.
Yeah, I think he was the player, wasn't he, that when you read the forums and the so-called experts, that Malinovsky was the surprise player that wasn't included. He is a well-known player around Europe, got a great left foot on him. just gone to ground there. There has been out-muscled by the Sweden midfield. There now is Olsen to Isaac, who's growing into the game. He's very raw. Sometimes he does things very wrong, but in doing so, he gets his team into a bit of space. Forsberg, you can tell, is a quality operator. He skips inside his midfield competition man in Sidorchuk. Now with Larsen. Out wide it goes to Kavarev. Sorry, should I say Lustig. Now ball back into Olsen. That ball at the top is poor, and that will be Kavarev to take the throw in, because they've just given the ball away. The Swedish coaching staff not happy there, just pretty cheap. Maybe a lack of pressures, and they've believed that it perhaps was easier said than done. Now Ukraine on the attack. Zinchenko got the bit between his teeth on his way down the left-hand side. He's got bodies flying forward. He's got an option at the far post. It might reach them here as it's going to fall towards Sidorchuk. He's not in a shooting opportunity. He floats it up to the far post. It's too close to the keeper, and it's straight down the throat of Olsen in the Sweden goal. And you just got the sense there, Rob, that Sidorchuk was never set to go for goal or put a dangerous ball in the box. That needed a bit of power on that and a bit of speed, and instead he just set it up for the very tall keeper.
Yeah, I mean, because maybe Yarmolenko didn't do him any favours, because he's coming to the middle of the goal and the keeper's at his near post. So, you know, he's got to really get that absolutely inch perfect, hasn't he? If Yarmolenko had pulled away to a deeper position to the far post, he can just loft it that little bit quicker. But yeah, it's a good break from Ukraine. We haven't seen that sort of pace on the counter for some time in this game. The teams aren't set up to concede counter-attack opportunities in the main. So I don't know what happened to Sweden's defensive situation there. I mean, arguably, Zinchenko could have played that to Sidorchuk first time with the run from Yaremchuk taking away Gustinson. He was in space. He did keep it alive, but he could have been set up for a shooting opportunity rather than a crossing opportunity.
Yes, a very fair assessment. So Sweden's still in possession. It is one apiece. They are forced all the way back with Lustig towards Olsen in his goal. And a bit better that from the Ukraine, putting the pressure on early. Lustig goes wide right to Larsen, who was able to go cross field that time with his pass. Ekdal back to Lindelof. Here is Forsberg, who again is just starting to peel a bit further wide, popping up in little pockets of space for his team. Wide left it goes back out to Danielson. Here is Olsen, who's now looking for an option further on the right-hand side. It's a bit stop-start though. People at walking pace for Sweden. Not exactly going much quicker in the blue of Ukraine either, as Olsen goes wide again. Larsen, Isaac looks up, he's got options, he rolls it wide to Lustig. Lustig's ball was a bit of a hospital one. Isaac's got to be brave and doesn't put the foot in. Luckily he's got numbers back with him, and Sweden win the ball back. 64 minutes gone, Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. Here is Danielson. He's caught the eye at centre half alongside Lindelof. That's a strong challenge on the Sweden midfielder. I think it's Malinovsky that's just come into the game, who's, I think, getting quite bored of the Sweden players pinging it around the park. I think he's trying to lead by example there, Rob. I didn't see. I mean, he's a little late, but it's not a card. He's just trying to G up his players, and he's looking down at the Sweden player after giving away a free kick, almost in disbelief that he's managed to concede one. It's a little bit of fire in the belly, at least.
Well, I don't think it's a foul. I think he's stopped short of Olsen. Of course, he's there, and Olsen's gone down, making it look like it's a foul as well. Sweden have won a corner here. That didn't look a great ball in, but it's like a massive deflection of Sidorchuk, and it's going to go behind. We haven't had a set-piece opportunity for a while. I'm not sure Ukraine have actually had a corner, but Sweden haven't threatened from too many times from any of theirs. Not that they've had a million, you know, they've had a few, and they've never quite threatened, but they always strike you as a side that could threaten from set-pieces. The delivery hasn't been good enough yet.
Forsberg is now going to try and swing this ball to the far post. It's a little better. It's at least a challenge for Ekdal. It's fallen towards Kovalevsky. He goes left-footed, tipped over the crossbar by the keeper. And Bushkan had to be alert. He gets there. It'll be another corner, Rob.
Yeah, it's a good chance there, isn't it? Onto his left foot, coming inside. It's something that, you know, somebody like Yarmolenko for Ukraine would do. You'd think Yaremchuk knows he's left-footed and he'd show him the outside, but that's a good save from Bushkan. Danger hasn't passed. Another corner.
Forsberg again gets himself ready. Right-footed effort towards the near post. No real meaningful touch. Good challenge on the edge of the area for Sweden. Ukraine trying to break. Zinchenko prods it forward for Malinovsky, who's not got the pace to get away, but he has got the pace to get to the ball. He's still got players. There's so many Sweden players back. Malinovsky again inside. Little layoff. It's a great ball. Yarmolenko down the throat of the keeper, and he should have perhaps done better. It would have been one of the counter-attacks of the tournament. And despite Sweden having 6-7 yellow shirts back, it meant very little.
Yeah, I think it's a great little layoff from Yaremchuk. Didn't look, just opened the body, let it run. Olsen might have intercepted, but I think the fact that Yaremchuk was so nonchalant, he just perhaps didn't expect the pass. And then, like you say, Yarmolenko on his left foot just started the far post. He started too centrally, easy save for Olsen. You just expected him to at least aim it towards that far post. If anything, push it a little bit wide and then curl it back in. But disappointing from Ukraine to finish there, but that's chances again at both ends. Both sides very much in this one, and it's still 1-1.
Isaac pods the ball forward. He was trying to drill it into the path of a teammate in the shape of Larsson, but can't get it there. It's not a bad run that from Larsson, as we're nearly at the halfway point of this second half. I'll bring you a little update what we've seen so far. If you've just rejoining us, game at Hampden Park. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. A change for Ukraine in midfield as Shaparenko's come off. Malinovsky has come on, just trying to dictate play a little bit more for Ukraine, and he was part of the move that saw Yarmolenko have a shot saved by Olsen. Quick fire counter attack. It was played into Yarmolenko. One touch setup and a one-touch finish was needed, but he hit the ball straight down the throat of the keeper. At the other end, Kovalevsky had a shot saved with a powerful drive towards the top corner. It was Bushkan that tipped it over, and it's not a bad watch at all. Both teams are trying to attack in their little fits and starts and bursts. Hopefully we get a couple more goals before the end of the night. It is 1 apiece.
Yeah, it's 1 apiece with a quarter of the game left, just under, but obviously a little bit of injury time on top of that as well. Here comes Victor Lindelof charging forward, works it out to the left-hand side on Forsberg. Lindelof's gone into the box as Forsberg cuts inside, goes for the far corner. Oh, he's been denied by the woodwork again. This time it's the crossbar, as Kulisevsky still has it. Oh, then it's a poor touch. Then he's took back Zinchenko. That will be the game's first yellow card. Kulisevsky has gone into the book, but that's twice now. Coming inside, Forsberg onto his right foot. We all know what he was trying to do, as did Bushkan, but he was nowhere near it. Stood watching, and it's flush off the woodwork.
Yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful strike, isn't it? I don't like using that cliche, but again, he hits it so sweetly that just the slightest little bit of a scuff or lack of power, and it's dipping under the crossbar. Great effort. Manager's got his head in his hands. The fans have got the same as well, as we see a replay of the yellow card, and Kovalevsky worried that Zinchenko was going to get away from him, and as Rob rightly said, he is the first man booked. But it's a bit strange to watch Forsberg, isn't it? Because he's not constantly dominating possession, but everything he does seem to touch at least is effective, Robin. You would think Ukraine would try and put somebody on him, but that game plan appears to be non-existent.
Yeah, Malinovsky tries to go down the middle towards Yarmolenko, who's the highest man for Ukraine upfield, but it's getting away from him. He gives up on it pretty quickly, skids through to Olsen, and Sweden back in possession. Maybe they've had the lion's share in the last few minutes or so. They certainly seem to be at least in the ascendancy. Obviously they've hit the woodwork twice now. Don't forget Ukraine have hit the woodwork as well. And obviously they both scored. 1 apiece it is. Both goals coming in the first half. Might have had 3 in the second if it hadn't been for the woodwork. And let's not forget the saves as well. Particularly from Bushkan, who's made a couple. Sweden might just feel a little bit unfortunate that they're not in front. But there's still time to turn this game around as Lustig brings it forward. Finds Larsson, back to Lustig, now infield to Ekdal. Lustig continues his run down the right. He's not got much room there. It's a poor layoff from him actually under pressure. And then it's won back by Ukraine. Zinchenko into Bushkan, who hits it upfield. Yarmolenko seemingly playing through the middle. Is easily sort of out-muscled by Danielson. Won't let him back into him. Ball goes over both their heads. Olsen will pick up for Sweden again. Isaac with a nonchalant pass, lucky to get it back off Forsberg. Now the space on the left for Augustinsson. Onto his left foot, checks back, coming in onto his right, but doesn't want to use it. Left-footed back towards the halfway line. And Danielson closed down, but not exactly put under pressure. Lindelof is an option. Looks for Isaac just on the edge of the box. Better layoff to Kulusevski. Although his no-look pass didn't quite work, although he's working hard to win it back. And Sweden have it with Olsen. Now it's a Lustig. Infield to Ekdal. 25 yards from goal, right channel. Lustig staying wide is the option. Crosses it in towards the middle, but it's too close to Bushkan. And that's a comfortable claim. But yes, Sweden are on top, Tom. Obviously, Ukraine have just made a change. Sweden aren't going to change anything on top, I think.
No, you wouldn't have thought so. You'd have to think they'd try and, of course, capitalise on this momentum and try and, push forward with it, keep that same continuity throughout the team. It's just whether they've got the nerves, of course, or the fitness to go all the way. Because as we know, the scoreline as it stands is only going to see us in a certain manner with extra time and beyond. But yeah, you can always risk it, Rob, and go the other way. You try and get a winner, and you give up space in behind. I think the team's got what it takes to go and get another goal before 90 minutes. Put it that way.
Yeah, Isaac's a little bit quiet, isn't he? Obviously impressed in La Liga this season. 17 goals in 34 games for Real Sociedad. He's not quite getting into dangerous positions as the 21-year-old in this game. He's shown his pace, which can be a weapon, but he's also been caught offside a couple of times as well. Perhaps isn't as experienced as Sweden would need him to be. There's still time left, keep talking about it. 17 minutes plus injury time. Then, of course, 30 minutes and penalties, should they be needed. Ukraine are responding. They haven't had much to shout about here in the last few minutes. They've got possession. It's not in the Sweden half for too long. They've gone back towards Zabani, Karaveyev, Sidorchuk now in the right back position. Showing a bit of energy at least. Space over on the left for Matvienko. Now finding Zinchenko, hugging the touchline, high up the pitch as well, maybe 30 yards from goal. As Malinovsky comes short to get involved. Having said that, they've slowed the pace of the attack right down, and it's literally walking pace as they now force back to the halfway line. And Zabani looking for options. Out on the right, it's Karaveyev again, back to Zabani. Again, it's not exactly a high press, but they seem a little bit more conservative in possession due to Ukraine. And then, as I say that, it's a long ball downfield, which Karaveyev has done well to knock down for Yarmolenko. Feeds it to Yaremchuk just on the edge of the box. Uses Yarmolenko as a decoy. Karaveyev back to the edge of the box, and Stepanenko's shot from just outside the D is blocked by Ekdal, kept in field by Zinchenko. The attack is still on. As Malinovsky again slows it down to walking pace. Matvienko back to the halfway line, and Kaitsov across to Zabani, and now Karaveyev again. His ball in field takes a slight deflection, but still reaches Yarmolenko. So Ukraine recycling the ball fairly well. No threat at the moment, as Stepanenko actually does his shoelace with Ukraine in possession.
You'd almost think like he didn't realise he's played for a place in a quarter-final. It was 20 minutes to go, Rob. All very nonchalant and relaxed, but Ukraine getting a bit of spring in there for that last few minutes.
Little backheel pass from Yarmolenko for the overlapping Karaveyev. Back to the captain on his left foot. A couple of little step-over tricks. Achieves nothing in terms of opening up Sweden. The pass is then played back to the halfway line. That's a better ball out to Karaveyev. Now it's a loose pass into the box towards Yarmolenko. Sliding in is just caught Olsen, who asked the question of the referee with no real malice, but he's just suggesting he was caught by Olsen, by Yarmolenko. I would agree, but the throw-in has still gone Ukraine's way, and from that throw-in they've gone deep inside their own half. Yes, the pace of the game is quite slow. I mean, it's still Scotland. It's not the warmest country in the world. I'm surprised that neither team is really taking the ball, the game by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, I mean, I always find these situations, you can just tell how nervous they are, can't you, with the fact they've got so much riding on this game, but I do wonder if just one of them put 10 minutes more of a little bit more attacking output, they could go and grab a winner, because it's so much easier on the legs, isn't it? Especially for the winner of this game, having played as it stands, will play at least 30 minutes more than England. And I know it's in a few days' time, but not likely to have its effect as Lustig wins a free kick.
Yeah, he's won it off Malinovsky, who's just let his presence be known again. Second foul he's been adjudged to have committed. I think he caught Lustig that time. And the referee just happy to give a free kick. We've only seen the one yellow card. That was for Kulusevski, pulling back Zinchenko. As Olsen finds Isaac, who's come very deep. A little bit fortunate, because I don't think he saw Sidorchuk on his shoulder. And then Sidorchuk miscontrols. Now it's the man who's hit the woodwork twice, Forsberg. I'm pretty sure he will have been given the goal, but it took a massive deflection. That's not the best ball in, hacked away by Ukraine into the Sweden half as 77 minutes ticks over at Hampden Park. Independent unofficial off-tube studio commentary of a game that's currently 1-1, but both sides have had other chances. The woodwork has been hit 3 times. Both keepers have made saves, although then in some other parts of the game players are walking around the pitch, so it's kind of in fits and starts at the moment. But Sweden have possession on the halfway line with Ekdal to Olsen. Is able to turn in the Ukraine half. They're backing off. He thinks about a shot, then reverses it to Forsberg. Can't nutmeg it through Zabani, but Olsen's come to retrieve, rides the challenge of Zabani, and Sweden have possession back. Ekdal gets it back off Forsberg. Might just have been caught by Stepanenko. Referee acknowledges that there was contact, but Sweden still have it. Ekdal to the feet of Larsson, tries to lay it off to Forsberg. It's a little bit scrappy, and in the end, Katsov is able to clear. Better than that, he's found Yarmolenko down the Ukraine right. Charges into Swedish territory. I think he's just held up illegally by an arm from Ekdal, and that'll be a free kick to Ukraine just inside the Sweden half. Yarmolenko, is he in a little bit of trouble? A little bit of afters. The referee's coming across.
He's just trying to calm him down. He's got a long time to try and appeal the free kick and win it. He did sort of milk it a little bit, didn't he? And I think it's a fair call, but just move on. He's looking a little bit tired, slowly to get into his feet. He's got yellow card, Rob. You were spot on with his protest. He's obviously done something off the ball, and rather than the card going to the Sweden player, it's gone the opposite way. Yeah,
he might have just said something that he shouldn't have done. Daniela Orsato, the referee, incidentally. A free kick to Ukraine. Right out on the right touchline. Yarmolenko, I'm not sure, he's certainly shouting at 1 or 2 people. I think they're his teammates rather than the opposition or the referee. Karaveyev it is. And well, it's near the halfway line. That's a good ball out to Zinchenko on the left-hand side. Pass just a little bit behind Malinovsky and trying to keep hold of it. It's half cleared by Lustig. Worked back out by Ukraine to Zinchenko. Now Stepanenko with a cross, which takes a deflection and falls kindly for Forsberg. Now the break is on for Sweden. That's a mistake from Matvienko. He should have intercepted, but the ball's got thrown to Kulusevski, who's now charging at Matvienko. But that's a good recovery, actually, because Matvienko, having made the mistake, wins it back, and Ukraine back in possession. We've got 10 minutes to go, Tom. I'm sensing extra time.
Yeah, it does look like that could well be on the cards, Rob. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1 into the closing stages of the game at Hampden Park, and for now it does look like these two teams may need extra time and penalties to settle the score. Forsberg, the last man to test either defence. It was a beautiful right-footed strike from him that rattled the crossbar and bounced clear, but for the last 10 minutes we haven't really seen either team sparkle. Bit of huff and puff from Ukraine. They've shown slight glimpses they're going to get into good areas before wasting the opportunity. While for Sweden, Isaac has gone pretty quiet, and you do wonder whether changes are needed for Sweden to try and give them an extra lease of life. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1.
Ukraine back in possession deep inside their own half. Inside the final 10 minutes. There will, of course, be a little bit of extra time. We've only seen one change thus far, and it's Malinovsky who hasn't necessarily influenced the game as maybe Ukraine wanted. Yarmolenko has just caught Augustinsson there. He needs to be careful because he's got a yellow card. I'm not saying it was a yellow card challenge, but obviously just doesn't want to do anything too silly. Looks like Sweden are going to make, well, I was going to say their first change. It actually looks like a double change that Sweden are going to make with...
looks like Bengtsson and Kraft, Rob.
There's a bit of cramp here. Is that for Augustinsson, who's just been caught by Yarmolenko?
Yeah, Emil Kraft is the Newcastle defender. So perhaps a bit of a change there. Looking at the number 5, Bengtsson plays his football for Copenhagen. So he could be a straight swap for Augustinsson should he not be able to continue.
Yeah, we're just watching replays of goals and chances, etc. And not seeing who's going to go off for Sweden, but certainly 2 players ready to come on. Drinks are being brought out for the players. Augustinsson still getting a little bit of treatment inside the final 8 minutes of the game. Independent unofficial off-tube studio commentary. It might be Sweden 1, Ukraine 1, but both sides have had their moments. Sweden have hit the woodwork twice, Ukraine once. Keepers have made saves. Augustinsson is going to be replaced. Bengtsson comes on in his place. That's certainly what the board is suggesting, but it's going to be a double change anyway. Of course, Augustinsson was just getting that little bit of treatment. Augustinsson high fives, handshakes with his teammates as he leaves. Job done well enough. Perhaps didn't get as far forward as he might have done. Looks as though both fullbacks are being changed. Don't often necessarily see that. 2 fullbacks being replaced. Emil Kraft is coming on for Lustig.
Yeah, it's a surprise. I didn't think Lustig had done too much wrong, but then again, he hasn't done too much right. Maybe that's where they think they can exploit Ukraine, Rob, try and get at Zinchenko, Karavayev, Matyenko as well, because we know Zinchenko's been dropping in that little area. So, yeah, I mean, it is a surprise, but again, they're 2 players in the pitch that have done an awful lot of running. Perhaps he sees it as a weakness.
Could, of course, both be better penalty takers than the 2 that were on the pitch.
Rob, I like it. Thinking big.
As Yaremchuk slips as he gathered a long ball downfield. That's a loose pass from, well, firstly Lindelof and then from Yarmolenko. It's going to trickle out of play for a Swedish throw inside the Swedish half with 6 minutes left plus stoppage time. It's been a while since the woodwork's been struck or a chance has been created. It's been quite cagey, and the closer we've got to 90 minutes, absolutely no surprise. A place in the quarterfinals up for grabs. Place against England, of course, in Rome, the fixture. The chance to play England away from Wembley, which will be the only time they will be away from Wembley, of course, England. As Kulusevski's popping up on the left in tandem with Forsberg in terms of his man. The arm came out. Oh, and that's a free kick. Just trying to fend off his man, Forsberg. He's caught him in the face. Again, I don't like these yellow cards, but of course it is football these days.
Playing the wrong sport. Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing, is it? I don't mind it if it's really intentional, but there's barely anything in it. I think he flicks him on the nose. I'd rather see him do it properly if he's going to do it. Yeah, he's frustrated. He's actually tried to walk away, I think, to calm down, because he's desperate to pull to say something to the officials. So keeps his cool. 5 minutes to go, and hopefully Sweden can get him free one more time, because of course he's been unlucky tonight. The upright and the bar have denied him.
Yarmolenko collects a nod down from Karavayev. Karavayev then goes back to Sidorchuk on the halfway line. Now Zabani looks for a diagonal out towards Zinchenko, and Kraft heads clear back to the halfway line, but Matvienko collects for Ukraine. Now Malinovsky, just for a moment, looked like he might try and take on 1 or 2 defenders. Pass goes back to Matvienko though, and Ukraine start again into the last 5 of the game. 4.5 actually remaining, plus injury time, of course. Chances drying up. Matvienko crosses the halfway line, but then quickly looks back to those players behind him. Stepanenko now across to Zabani, out to the right, and Karavayev back to Zabani, real cagey stuff. And now Bushkan is fed by Zabani from almost the halfway line. He waits to be closed down by Kulisevsky and then drills it out towards Inchenko, but that's way over the City player's head. Into touch, throw in Sweden. Time ticks down. Obviously, Ukraine have only made one change. They've got plenty to come, should they wish. But I guess running, I suppose, has dried up a little bit because both sides just don't want to lose it at this late stage. Ekdal collected the pass off Olsen and plays it back to his keeper. Now out to Kraft on the right, goes down the line. Is offside given? Oh, no, it might have gone out of play first for a throw-in. Looked as though Seb Larsson rather unhelpfully brought the ball that was off the pitch back on, so that there were two balls and Ukraine couldn't take a quick one. So
pace has totally gone wrong last few minutes. Like they're almost both desperate for the game to end at this scoreline and kick on again. You can see the nerves, I think, across all the pitch from all players. Like a little bit of drama. Did they not watch Croatia, Spain, or France, Switzerland?
Well, I think if they could have a word with Germany and say, would you rather go out playing safe? I think they'd say no. You just always be regretting the fact you weren't a little bit more aggressive. That's what the loser is going to think at the end of this game. But at the moment, it's difficult to work out who the loser will be because chances have dried up. Ukraine, a goal now is surely going to be the winner. 2 minutes left plus stoppage time. Infield, they got towards the edge of the box and then it's come all the way back near the halfway line. They kind of just probe with a pass to a high position. It comes back. I would hate to be Yaremchuk right now. A cross hasn't been played into the middle. It might do because Malinovsky's actually got to the byline. He's crossed it over everybody, but I think he was offside. And that's why everybody stopped. But if you're Yaremchuk in this side, it feels like an awfully long time since he last touched the ball.
Yeah, England's Harry Kane was getting some stick before tonight. I'd love to know what the press is saying about him back in Ukraine. He had a touch to Yarmolenko earlier in the first half, which was 15 minutes in, if that. And then a couple of interchanging passes at best. He's put himself about in terms of pressure, but he'd be the first person I'd bring off from a Ukraine perspective. He doesn't look fully comfortable either. He's running with a bit of an awkward stance. I'm not sure if that's his regular running pattern, but yeah, I'm just not too impressed as we get a chance here.
Ball over the top. Kulisevsky, is he onside? He takes a shot at goal. Zabani comes across and just blocks it behind. So it will be a corner if it's not offside. Looking at a replay, it's not offside. So that's got to go down as a decent chance. I suppose the ball just bounced high enough for Zabani to just get that extra little half second to get back in. Looking at a replay, it's easy with hindsight. He perhaps should have shot first time.
Yeah, that's the one thing I expected him to do because, you know, it gives him the advantage over the defender. He gets time to get back and put in a really good and honest block, and now one maybe final throw of the dice for Sweden. It's not the greatest passes, the set pieces. Have they got one more up their sleeve with Larsson to take it?
Yeah, I haven't seen too much threat from set pieces. A little bit of a surprise. It's another corner for Sweden. I still don't think Ukraine have had one, but I might be mistaken. Larsson with a delivery, an away swinger, and it hasn't beaten the man at the near post. Hugely disappointing, but now Malinovsky tries to bring it clear. He was showing decent enough pace there, but a heavy touch has allowed at least Bengtsson to just hack it into touch. Anywhere will do, and of course Sweden have now regrouped. We've only had 3 substitutions as well, so there hasn't been that much time for injuries. Augustinsson got a bit of treatment, so I don't think there'll be much stoppage time. We've gone into added time now. I can't see it being more than 3 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2. Yeah, 2 has just flashed up. 3 substitutions and a little injury. So 2 minutes of stoppage time. We've had 30 seconds. And surely, well, I say surely, is there enough time for a winner? Ukraine try and attack. Yarmolenko's gone too early, and that will be offside. So looks like we're heading to extra time. Tom, that's not going to, I mean, is that going to change in any way the game?
No, I don't think it is. I think we've got a bit of a long haul night. I think you said it right at the very start that you thought it would be quite cagey. They've gone into their shells, the both of them. I think that the desperation to reach the next round is maybe been their undoing. I thought Sweden had the game between their teeth at one point. Forsberg hitting the post, then hitting the bar. I thought just going to get a little bit more momentum behind them and go for broke and go for it. But yeah, I think the pace might even drop even further in extra time, to be honest, unless we get one final chance here with Forsberg.
Went to the last minute. Forsberg looks for the run of Kulisevsky, but it's cleared by Ukraine.
Yaremchuk there, Rob. Yaremchuk touched the ball.
Yeah, it was a tackle. It's a tackle for the striker halfway inside his own half. Ukraine certainly have dropped back a lot deeper. I wouldn't say Sweden have been massively more attacking, but I think they have got more bodies downfield. But they're not creating chances. Well, they haven't created chances since Forsberg hit the woodwork for the second time. It seems silly with the woodwork denying him twice, but it's been a long while since a chance. The fans look nervous, the players look nervous. 2 minutes have been completed. That is full time, so this match is going the extra half an hour. Neither side could find a breakthrough. At the end of 90 minutes, it's finished Sweden 1, Ukraine 1, and we'll be back with extra time momentarily.
The last 16 game goes to extra time. It's Sweden 1, Ukraine 1 at full time. So we've got extra time at least. Goals at either end. Zinchenko opening the scoring for Ukraine, the 27th minute. Forsberg then bringing the game level in the 43rd. Both teams hit the post. Sidorchuk rattling it in the 56th minute. Forsberg a minute later before then he hit the crossbar in the 69th minute. But for now, we await extra time and perhaps, of course, even penalties. Join us for that. 16 game goes to extra time. It's Sweden 1, Ukraine 1 at full time. So we've got extra time at least. Goals at either end. Zinchenko opening the scoring for Ukraine, the 27th minute. Forsberg then bringing the game level in the 43rd. Both teams hit the post. Sidorchuk rattling it in the 56th minute. Forsberg a minute later before then he hit the crossbar in the 69th minute. But for now, we await extra time and perhaps, of course, even penalties. Join us for that. Last 16 game goes to extra time. It's Sweden 1, Ukraine 1 at full time. So we've got extra time at least. Goals at either end. Zinchenko opening the scoring for Ukraine, the 27th minute. Forsberg then bringing the game level in the 43rd. Both teams hit the post. Sidorchuk rattling it in the 56th minute. Forsberg a minute later before then he hit the crossbar in the 69th minute. But for now, we await extra time and perhaps, of course, even penalties. Join us for that. Last 16 game goes to extra time. It's Sweden 1, Ukraine 1 at full time. So we've got extra time at least. Goals at either end. Zinchenko opening the scoring for Ukraine, the 27th minute. Forsberg then bringing the game level in the 43rd. Both teams hit the post. Sidorchuk rattling it in the 56th minute. Forsberg a minute later before then he hit the crossbar in the 69th minute. But for now, we await extra time and perhaps, of course, even penalties. Join us for that. 16 game goes to extra time. It's Sweden 1, Ukraine 1 at full time. So we've got extra time at least. Goals at either end. Zinchenko opening the scoring for Ukraine, the 27th minute. Forsberg then bringing the game level in the 43rd. Both teams hit the post. Sidorchuk rattling it in the 56th minute. Forsberg a minute later before then he hit the crossbar in the 69th minute. But for now, we await extra time and perhaps, of course, even penalties. Join us for that. Last 16 game goes to extra time. It's Sweden 1, Ukraine 1 at full time. So we've got extra time at least. Goals at either end. Zinchenko opening the scoring for Ukraine, the 27th minute. Forsberg then bringing the game level in the 43rd. Both teams hit the post. Sidorchuk rattling it in the 56th minute. Forsberg a minute later before then he hit the crossbar in the 69th minute. But for now, we await extra time and perhaps, of course, even penalties. Join us for that. Last 16 game goes to extra time. It's Sweden 1, Ukraine 1 at full time. So we've got extra time at least. Goals at either end. Zinchenko opening the scoring for Ukraine, the 27th minute. Forsberg then bringing the game level in the 43rd. Both teams hit the post. Sidorchuk rattling it in the 56th minute. Forsberg a minute later before then he hit the crossbar in the 69th minute. But for now, we await extra time and perhaps, of course, even penalties. Join us for that. game about to get back underway as the players have had their tactic updates, they've had their refreshments. Just seen Yarmolenko drowning his head in water, just trying to cool himself down. So we are going to get a change, and it is perhaps no surprise to see Yaremchuk is being hauled off by the Ukraine boss Shevchenko, because without being too harsh, he did pretty much nothing. And replacing him is Artem Bezidin, the number 19, and Bezidin will try and come into the fold and make an immediate impact. The Dynamo Kiev centre forward, 25 now. Played 2 matches so far in the tournament, no goals, only played 25 minutes, so an impact sub they will hope. Myself, Tom Hill and Rob Eddy bringing you all the action from extra time. So it finished 1-1 at the end. If you're just joining us here on this Tuesday night, England beating Germany 2-0. Zinchenko up in the scoring for Ukraine. Sweden bounced back, but Rob's catching up at full time. They're waiting for this. That final 20 minutes, Rob, just a little bit disappointing. I think a very nervous and cautious approach from both made it difficult viewing.
Yeah, I mean, you just hope that somebody's going to, as a neutral, obviously, somebody's going to be brave and try and do something. I think, obviously, what's at stake, place in the quarterfinals. These sides obviously don't always go deep in major tournaments, don't always qualify for major tournaments, so we know what's at stake, and it's easy saying that, but neither side really. Yes, Forsberg hit the post, the woodwork twice, posting the crossbar, but since then I can't think of many chances. Keepers making saves, can't think of any. The time has basically paralysed these sides as attacking forces, so it's difficult to see that changing in extra time. Obviously the managers have been able to say things to their players, try and at least do something. I mean, Ukraine get to a position, but then they see a yellow shirt and work it all the way back into their own half. They're not even putting crosses in. I felt really sorry for Yaremchuk. He didn't get a touch because nobody's passing him the ball. They're not even crossing, hitting hopes, anything. So are we going to get somebody who's going to change this game? Not from what we saw in the last 20 minutes of the 90.
No, hopefully it's a quick turn of events and a change around in momentum. But like Rob said, I think we might be set for sudden death drama to the very end as we get back on the ball with Christoph. And Isaac continues to plod on up front. His pace was what caused Ukraine problems, but the longer this game goes on, you do wonder if he's as effective. To the keeper Bashkan, who curls a ball out wide looking for his left-hand side midfielder Malinovsky. It was well short. Larson got there first, but eventually Ukraine with the Atalanta midfielder get it back. He hasn't dictated play perhaps as much as they would have liked him to. Pedestrian in the middle of midfield. He has to be quicker, trying to interchange passes, trying to do it all himself. Now he comes from the left-hand side of midfield towards the centre circle. He goes back to Stepanenko, who at times you've probably forgot has been playing out wide. And Malinovsky there again. Stepanenko's urging him to go wide left. He does. He slips as he plays the ball, but it's a really good ball to Zinchenko. He's got options on his inside. He's been stood up by Kraft. Out to Stepanenko, who after me saying he's done very little, has touched the ball more times than he has the entire evening. A couple of 1-2s. Sweden keeping tight in a block, refusing to get out of their shape. Yarmolenko just trying to look at the Sweden shape, and they've got pretty much 4 players nestled together in a little bunch near the 2 centre forwards, and that's why Ukraine are going backwards, Rob. Sweden defensively not giving anything away, long ball forward, that's going to well trickle out for a throw in the far corner, and Sweden defended really well.
Yeah, I mean, they might be defending really well, but I mean, Zinchenko's had it on the left, Yarmolenko's had it on the right, on the edge of the box, and then they've passed it back towards the halfway line. They're not trying to take on a player, they're not trying to have a shot, they're not trying to do anything apart from not lose this game, which is making it difficult. What do they think is going to happen when Zabani's got the ball? All of a sudden Sweden open up. They're on the edge of the box. Be a bit braver, do something, try and win a penalty, take on a man. We haven't seen it for a long time. And obviously they're not going to win this game if they don't try and score a goal. They might not lose it, but they're not going to win it. And obviously the scoreline remains at 1-1. The Ukraine have just made another change.
Yeah, I think they're trying to freshen up the midfield, aren't they? That looked like it was Stepanenko that made way. And like you say, it's desperation from you, Rob, just wanting to see anything happen in an attacking sense. But you do wonder what their fans will be thinking with the nerves. And it's one of those opportunities. I think you made a great point earlier about Germany. They played the defensive mindset. It cost them. They went out. Many probably felt that if they'd attacked England, they could have done something different. They're now on the plane home and thinking about what might have been. I think if Ukraine's point of view is they don't want to regret this. This is such a great position to get themselves into the quarterfinals of a major championship. It's still one apiece between Sweden and Ukraine. And the ball out towards the right-hand side this time with Kraft. He gets a strong touch on it. 1-1-2. The ball hits his hand. He might have even been out of play. His ball inside though is wasteful, and eventually they can bring ball away. Can the Ukraine? That sub, by the way, looked like it was Makarenko in midfield, and we've even got more subs, 3 in waiting for Sweden, which will try and bring, I thought I saw a 15 and a 17. That's Claesson and Cerner. Couldn't see who the next change was, but Rob, I mean, slightly joked earlier about getting penalty takers ready, but I don't think you'd be too far away. Quaison is the other one, and he was one of the players, Rob, that well, the only player that was dropped for today for Kovalevsky, so it could well be a straight swap. Berg is in fact not the other sub, not the number 15. It is Berg, Claesson and Quaison coming on. The first man off is Kovalevsky, and perhaps preparing for later in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they probably want some fresh legs as well. I don't know what Kulusevski's record is like from the penalty spot, but yeah, I mean, he's looked all right at times, hasn't he? He had a good chance, but he took a touch and it allowed Zabani to get back. Isaac's going off as well. His pace has gone. He's been replaced by Burke, as you say. Don't get me wrong, I would like to point out that if England had lost against Germany, I think they'd have regretted it as well. They didn't take the game to Germany. Whoever loses this game will be thinking exactly the same thing. Why didn't we give it more of a go? It's easy in hindsight. Obviously, the managers think this is the best way to get that result, but you aren't going to win it. You aren't going to win it if you're not taking shots, having attacks. And I think if you've got the ball on the edge of the box and the next pass is back towards the halfway line, it's almost pointless getting it to the edge of the box in the first place. It's just wasted time. If this was fifth day of a test match, these players might well shake hands for a draw and just go to penalties anyway. Strong challenge comes in from Danielson. I think he slipped to a degree, but it looks like Bessedin is in a whole heap of... he didn't slip. He got the ball first, but his arm is out, his leg is outstretched, and then he makes impact with the shin.
Rob, I think he could be off, I think they're going to send him off, personally, if they check this via VAR. The boot hits the top of the kneecap.
Well, he definitely got the ball, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but I'm just thinking about the modern day foot. I just don't think they're going to look at that.
If Ethan Ampadu got red carded, then this is much worse than that challenge.
Well, Harry Wilson got red carded. Yeah, I don't know, Rob, I totally agree with you. The ball is there. He's volleying the ball. He can't help that his leg is then in the air from volleying it. They're going to say he's reckless and he's out of control. I think he's going to get sent off here, Danielson, which will totally change the tempo of the game. The referee is going to go look across to the VAR booth over on the far side. It's not the best to look at. See, so they're showing him, this is what I don't like, VAR, they're showing him the still originally of the impact. The referee, in fact, has had another look and seen the volley. He has another look again. He's now blown the whistle. He's making his way back onto the pitch. The top pocket is being opened. The red card is coming out, and Danielson is sent to the stands, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, obviously at first glance, I didn't think it was that bad because he won the ball, but you still it, and yeah, he's won the ball. His boot's there, and it's a little bit unfortunate because Bessedin's leg is planted. And that could easily have broken his leg. I'm not going to deny it. The leg is planted. It's not in the air, and like you say, he's got him near the kneecap, but he's kicked the ball and Bessedin's run into him, if you know what I mean. I don't think it's a malicious challenge. Having said that, Bessedin looks in a whole heap of pain. He's actually been helped to his feet, and that could be problematic for Ukraine, because Besedin was a substitute for Yaremchuk, but they do have the man advantage. I don't think in this day and age you can deny it. Yes, the still makes it look bad. I mean, I'm almost in two minds about this one. I thought it was a legitimate challenge, but it does look bad on the still.
Drama in the first half of extra time. Sweden won, Ukraine won, but it is 10 versus 11. Sweden's Danielsson has been sent to the stands after a red card offence, a strong challenge on Besedin. He won the ball originally from a volley, but his leg was up high from that clearance. He went straight down the inside of the kneecap of Besedin, who's only just come on as a sub himself, and he's now going to have to be replaced. He can't put weight on the leg, and he's hobbling around on that far side, so he's in some serious discomfort. Do wonder how they're going to try and team up here. Of course, he's a centre forward, so in terms of a penalty taker, should he get that far, it's a potential issue for them in that sense. And as a result, Sweden are having to take off a centre midfielder to cover that defensive change, all happening in the first half of extra time. Sadly, goal scoring opportunities are few and far between. He's still one apiece.
Yeah, that's a bit of a blow, isn't it? Haven't they just made that change? Helander's only just come on for Olsen, and now Helander is going off for... Oh no, Olsen's coming on. I beg your pardon. I've got that the wrong way around. So
I'm surprised Besedin's been allowed to walk off the pitch. I think he's incredibly lucky to still be able to put any weight on that leg in terms of his kneecap, because he looked down straight away as the substitution's made. It looks like it's Siskanov that's come on in his place, but he seems quite relaxed. Must be a hard one of the Ukraine team. I mean, he's on the floor now, his head in his hands, whether it's the pain or the disappointment for the tournament and the result, but I think he's very lucky to be even still able to hobble off, to be honest.
Well, I mean, it did look worse than it was. I mean, obviously you're going to get contact in football. I mean, my problem is there because I think red cards. I mean, he's got his head in his hands now as he's off the field, so that does not look good. But in terms of a red card, I don't think there's any malice there in the sense that he's meant it. He's won the ball, he's cleared it.
Do you know what? I'm not linking this back to the greatest club of all, Leeds United, but Liam Cooper's against Man City. He won the ball and did the same thing. He was sent off, and that failed with an appeal for Leeds. So it's the modern game, I guess, Rob.
Yeah, but I mean, if going back to the Ethan Ampadu thing, I mean, yes, he's accidentally trodden somebody's foot, but you know that it's not going to really hurt. This challenge is a lot worse. If you've got to be in total control, this challenge could have easily broken his leg. So I think it's more of a red card than Ethan Ampadu's by some distance. You know what I mean? If you bring, the end product into play, but I don't think he meant it. It's a little bit harsh. It's possibly changed this game, but hopefully Besedin's all right.
Yeah, he is able to hobble off the pitch. They have heavily strapped the left-hand side of that kneecap, so he is hobbling his way around. And as Rob said, we do hope he's okay this evening. I'm sure they'll be checking that over, and if Ukraine do progress, they'll have a couple of days to try and get him assessed. But the way he's very gingerly walking his way around the pitch suggests that would be some miracle for him to feature, and they'll need this man on the ball, Yarmolenko, to try and lead by example. Rob mentioned the send it off will change the game. Tactically, it's made a big difference. Sweden are going all hands on deck defensively. Now Ukraine, the other side of things, going all out to score. Ball to the far post, bodies queuing up, a little cut back. It's not a good enough cut back though from Ukraine, and that little ball back in from Karavayev is straight out of play. Ulsen will get his hands on the ball in a minute or so. Well, we're going to get a couple of minutes of stoppage time as well as this 2 minutes left. And have we got a shortage of stretchers in Scotland, or do Ukraine not believe in them? Because the physio's helping him off. Besedin, he's got a huge ice pack and strapping surrounding the leg. Just make sure he's okay by by wheeling him round and getting him in the dressing room. But unless he's point blank refused it, Sweden fans look on. They look a little nervous now. It is backs against the wall sort of situation for them. Malinovsky, not been too impressed by him. Malinovsky again, and there he goes, flies into a tackle, wins the ricochet, gets the ball out wide. Zinchenko's pulled wide once more. He looks into the box early doors. He smacks it into the side of Kraft, who is Polak's on the floor, and we hope he's okay. He's laid on the floor, puffs out the cheeks. He's had the stuffing knocked out of him. We're going to get another delay, Rob, because he needs to be given a head assessment, which is, again, only fair when he's that close and it's hit him that hard.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely there. I was thinking that was a really bad cross, but yeah, it just...
That's exactly what I thought.
He's caught him right on the top of the head, and he wouldn't have been expecting it. I'm not going to say he looks out for the count, but he certainly is feeling it, that's for sure. The physio's straight on. Obviously, Sweden will want him to be all right. They've got to defend the corner, and of course, he's going to be off the pitch. Is it a corner or a throw-in? Zinchenko's got the ball in his hand about 10 yards from the corner flag, but a second ball comes in actually for Malinovsky to take a corner, but he's had a bit of treatment. And we're seeing Bessedin as well. He still hasn't quite reached where he wants to reach. He looks in pain. He's been helped around. One leg is in the air. He's not putting any weight on it, so that doesn't look good right now. Maybe it's a bad sign for Saturday. Hopefully not. Sitting up though is Kraft. Hopefully he's all right. They're already down to 10 men, so they don't want to have to defend this set piece down to 9.
No, again, more drama. 3 minutes of stoppage time given at the end of the first half. He's up on his feet. He's Kraft and wasn't really helped to his feet either, so the signs suggest that he could be okay. He's right arm above the ear, just double checking things. The referee's telling me he's got to go off, and he looks at that in disbelief. Now, either he's the blow to the head's been that hard that he's forgotten the rules. He's had physios on the pitch. Bessedin looks rather emotional as he's speaking to Shevchenko, which perhaps suggests that he knows how bad the injury is, maybe, Rob, and we'll break off though. Malinovsky's corner. What is it with these set pieces tonight? 2 Sweden players fall over. Kraft, I think, he's been waved back on. They're going to look to take it short. I'm not surprised with how bad that corner was. Kraft is waved back on. Malinovsky gets himself set. Once again, he has got a short option. He uses it this time. It is Zinchenko. He goes even further backwards towards their own goal. Sweden's players are pushing out. It's played back left. Sweden readjusts. Zinchenko, another poor ball into the area. It's going to be cleared out as far as the left back Matienko, who's been incredibly quiet in this second half, and at least stoppage at extra time as well. Ball into Sidorchuk. Little flick back towards Malinovsky. He's nowhere near it. He gets a touch to the ball. He also gets a touch to the Sweden player. And the referee says that Berg was fouled, another player that Sweden will need 4 penalties. Malinovsky is left frustrated. Of course, we'll keep you up to date throughout half time. If you've just joined us and want to know what you've missed at the interval as the players get some vital fluids on board. They need any more tactics though. If one of these 2 teams can score in these last minute and a half of stoppage time, ball played forward looking for Quaison, it's going to be cleared away, and it is out for a Sweden throw, and this is perhaps a rare attack for Sweden to put bodies forward. Berg's up there. Kraft sets himself and just takes the moisture off his hands as best he can, tries to wipe down the shorts. There's no towels there. Needs to try and get the playbook from Stoke as Kraft gets himself set. There's pretty much everybody back, barring 1 Ukraine player. Kraft goes to the edge of the 6-yard box. There's 2 players underneath it. Headed out here is Forsberg, and Forsberg hits that. He picks an injury up as he does so, and there's an injury now to a Ukraine player. This first half doesn't want to end of extra time, Rob.
No, half a chance there. I mean, he is on the half turn, so it's never going to be easy to score from there, but he's in space, and he'll be a little bit disappointed that he hasn't hit the target. I think that's Krivtsov who's gone down. I thought it was a head injury, but he's clutching his left ankle now. So, sadly, the first half of extra time has just been broken up by one injury after another. Obviously, one seems to be more serious, Bessedin's, but there are just others as well. You'd think it's got to suit the team that's down to 10 men a little bit, but you just hope that players last the full 30 minutes.
Yep, fingers crossed. We see a replay here of that rather tame clearance. Sweden would have wanted any player in their ranks to have the ball fall to them in the penalty area, albeit an awkward half-turn for him to deal with. It would have been Emil Forsberg, and unfortunately for them, he was unable to get his body over the ball. And now Ukraine have the ball back. We're into the 4th minute of stoppage time at the end of the first half. Out to the right. Here is Karavayev. Ball into the box, not a bad one. Yarmolenko trying to cause problems. Now he goes down. Referee has a look. Will he bring the end of the stoppage time to a close? Yarmolenko is claiming he was caught by the flying Sweden defender. He's in some discomfort according to his reaction. He's in a heap on the floor, and we still haven't had the whistle blown for the end of the first period of extra time. Sweden 1, Ukraine 1. Christov limps his way onto the park. Rob mentioned a couple of seconds ago about players lasting the 30 minutes. Might not have enough penalty takers. As Yarmolenko checks the injury, he hobbles his way back towards the halfway line, refuses the treatment. Olsen takes a short free kick, and the referee does bring the first half to a close. So a very quick wrap up before we come back shortly for the second half. Still 1 apiece between Sweden and Ukraine, but Sweden down to 10 men after that red card for a challenge from Danielsson on Bessedin, who's had to be carried off the field of play. Very little chances. In fact, the first half of extra time was just marred by injuries. 6-7 stoppages with several players from each team going down. Let's hope in the second half we get a little bit of drama. It is 1 apiece. Still 1 apiece between Sweden and Ukraine, but Sweden down to 10 men after that red card for a challenge from Danielsson on Bessedin, who's had to be carried off the field of play. Very little chances. In fact, the first half of extra time was just marred by injuries. 6-7 stoppages with several players from each team going down. Let's hope in the second half we get a little bit of drama. It is 1 apiece. Still 1 apiece between Sweden and Ukraine, but Sweden down to 10 men after that red card for a challenge from Danielsson on Bessedin, who's had to be carried off the field of play. Very little chances. In fact, the first half of extra time was just marred by injuries. 6-7 stoppages with several players from each team going down. Let's hope in the second half we get a little bit of drama. It is 1 apiece. Still 1 apiece between Sweden and Ukraine, but Sweden down to 10 men after that red card for a challenge from Danielsson on Bessedin, who's had to be carried off the field of play. Very little chances. In fact, the first half of extra time was just marred by injuries. 6-7 stoppages with several players from each team going down. Let's hope in the second half we get a little bit of drama. It is 1 apiece. Still 1 apiece between Sweden and Ukraine, but Sweden down to 10 men after that red card for a challenge from Danielsson on Bessedin, who's had to be carried off the field of play. Very little chances. In fact, the first half of extra time was just marred by injuries. 6-7 stoppages with several players from each team going down. Let's hope in the second half we get a little bit of drama. It is 1 apiece. Still 1 apiece between Sweden and Ukraine, but Sweden down to 10 men after that red card for a challenge from Danielsson on Bessedin, who's had to be carried off the field of play. Very little chances. In fact, the first half of extra time was just marred by injuries. 6-7. Just getting the start of this second half underway, because we just had a change. Myself, Tom Hill and Rob Eddy bringing you all the action. Rob will be the man that takes you through 2 full time of extra time, and we have had another change. I think it was Dovbyk that has replaced Yarmolenko, so that slight injury worry has meant that Ukraine have changed things up. Rob, 15 minutes to go, 1 apiece.
Yeah, and of course Ukraine have got an extra man. Are they going to try and utilise it? They've probably been less brave than Sweden in terms of possession and attacking for a long time in this game now, but they do have this man advantage. Perhaps Dovbyk is more of a central forward as well, because obviously with the injury to Bessedin, perhaps lacking a little bit there, but they've lost the creativity of Yarmolenko as well. So lots of injuries in this game. Some look more serious than others, as Dovbyk's first contribution is to foul Ekdal, and that'll be a free kick to Sweden halfway inside the Swedish half. Just the wrong side, a fraction late, and Ekdal will take the free kick. Obviously Sweden a man down, tired, they've made 6 changes, they just want to at least see this game through to penalties. Have they got enough about them to threaten themselves? You never know. Olsen's just waved away everyone. He's going to take this free kick.
Just think about it, Rob. Obviously, I still think Ukraine are going to be really nervous about this because even though they've got a man advantage, I think they fear Forsberg and the likes of Berg. It's all a bit disjointed, I think, for Sweden. They seem to have thrown on as many forwards as they can for the penalties, getting themselves set. Then they've lost their centre half, and it's sort of thrown the game plan out of the window as a free kick is given away by a Swedish centre forward for a bit of a nudge in the back. It was the number 22 Quezon that's given the foul away. But yeah, for me, Ukraine need to try and be going for this because end of the day, a penalty shootout, it's a coin toss, anyone could win it, where, you know, for 14 minutes they've got a man advantage, go use it.
Yeah, I thought that was a rather soft free kick as well. Zabani ran across Kazan. If that was in the middle of the pitch, the referee might not have given it, but anyway, Ukraine do have possession high up the pitch with Malinovsky, a couple of step overs, but then back towards Makarenko, just outside the centre circle. Zabani's actually coming up in support of the midfield, really, as they try and create the extra man, switching it from right to left. Zinchenko wearing the captain's armband with the substitution of Yarmolenko. All for Sweden and behind the ball. Kazan, most advanced players. The ball is threaded up towards the edge of the box, but that's well read by Helander, and it's cleared away. Kazan wins a header back into his own half, trying to find a teammate. It's lucky it was a miscontrol, but then it's given away by Ekdal. Ekdal's then eased Karaveyev off the ball, and that'll be a free kick to the Ukraine, only just inside the Swedish half, right out the right touchline. Ekdal doesn't like the decision, but I thought he got a soft free kick a couple of minutes ago. The ball over the top, clipped through, and Helander slipped on. There's two Ukraine players left it for each other. And it's then scrambled clear by Bengtsson. Should be played back. That's poor from Zabani. He's given it straight to Forsberg, who is still inside his own half. Not exactly on the counter. Hit long by Bengtsson. Flicked on, but nobody beyond Kazan, and that should be dealt with. Two players left it for each other. Sizankov.
I think the first one slipped.
Dobby. The first Swedish player.
Oh yeah, Sweden play awful. Ukraine player slipped in it, and they got away with it because defensively, I saw Matthijs de Ligt for the Netherlands come out the other day when he got sent off and said I should never let the ball bounce, I should never let it fall, I should have just dealt with the situation. No, it's rule number one as a defender. If in doubt, get rid, start again.
Yeah, that was rule number one 55 years ago. Here are Ukraine on the attack. Zinchenko left wing. Very high up the pitch now, trying to keep that width. He's not putting crosses into the middle. I mean, they're still not exactly low in the box, Ukraine. I don't expect them necessarily to go gung-ho, but more than one person as Makarenko plays it out to Zinchenko. Back to Malinovsky and Zinchenko. I think that was Dizankov who'd run offside. Now they have to wait for him to get back on. Makarenko square to Malinovsky, who just tries to get away from Kazan. He's left him in his slipstream. Gets to the right edge of the box, wants it back on his left. Clumsy from Forsberg, but Malinovsky stays on his feet. Collects a 1-2 off Makarenko, checks back onto his right, slips it through. Could be a chance if he's offside. Oh, he's blazed over the bar anyway. The flag might have gone up. This is a big, big chance because Sweden are yelling at the linesman, and the flag has gone up.
Well, Olsen, his face suggested it wasn't offside. He is offside. It's not a massive difference. He still misses it anyway. I think Lindelof's been great, Rob. To be honest, I think he's every time they've needed him to come and do something, he's just enough there, not to bring him down, just put him off. He's dealt with some high balls in the box. He's dealt with everything that's been thrown at him. He's been good coming out from the back. It's important. I know he was going to be offside anyway, but it was important that pressure came because without it, I think he's going to score. I think Olsen even got a save as well, and that's part of the reason why he was screaming. He was using the Zinchenko playbook of screaming at everybody.
Yeah, big chance not taken, but it was offside anyway. But not big at the time, didn't know that. And now Sweden have a throw halfway inside the Ukraine half. 9 minutes left of extra time, otherwise it's another penalty shootout. France departing the competition last night. Pre-tournament favourites, of course, but they lost to Switzerland. As here is Zinchenko in a defensive position, winning the ball back, works a 1-2 with Makarenko, but then that's a good pressing out of the pitch from Ekdal. Early ball downfield though from Ukraine to Dobbik. He does well under a little bit of pressure, and he just shimmies past Lindelof to buy himself a bit of time. Support comes from Dizankov, just on the left edge of the box, but then the pass is back towards the halfway line, and Ukraine have to start again. It also allows Sweden to get defenders back behind the ball, and now they've got to break them down once again. Karaveyev with the ball into the box, could be a chance here for Sidorchuk. He tries to pull it back, his challenge comes in. Did he get the ball? Did he get the man? There's no penalty given. Two players are in a heap in the middle, one from each side. Sweden are trying to break downfield, but Katsov should be able to clear. He actually slips as he puts the ball into touch. And it actually looks as though it's Berg who's come off worst.
Well, one, why is he back there? If it is him, which I do believe it was a number 9. Slides in. Yeah, it's the knee that hits him right in the side of the temple. I knew straight away he was in a bad way because his keeper went ballistic at the rest of his team because he was panicking about the head injury. Fingers crossed it's okay. It's not full-blooded. It hits him late rather than full on. So hopefully that's something he can recover from. But just before that, a bit disappointed by Ukraine's attack. I thought it was building up quite nicely. They got into some good areas, but there's just a real lack of support on that attack on the left, where we saw that bit of close control. You'd have thought it was Ukraine that had a man line. They have nobody up with them. I've been quite disappointed by them, and I think you made the point earlier in the game that the winner of this plays England, and I'm sure England have maybe got a bit of pizza in Rob, no beers, not allowed that on an international duty, of course, but they've probably got some food and watched this game and thought, you know what, we can certainly take these teams to the cleaners. I know I've just jinxed it, but you wouldn't be scared about playing Ukraine at the moment with how defensively minded they are. Sweden do have a little fox in the box in Forsberg, of course.
Yeah, I suppose if you're an England, if you're Gareth Southgate, you might be thinking Sweden are a bit more organised at the back, but it's not as if Sweden have created a raft of chances. They did hit the woodwork a couple of times. Maybe there's that just a little bit more threat either end of the pitch. Not that you threaten defensively, but the game has gone really quiet since Forsberg hit the woodwork for the second time, and that was maybe the three-quarter point of the game. The last quarter of the game, very few attacking opportunities, let alone shots. Extra time, there haven't been any. Thankfully, Berg is back on his feet. He has had a bit of treatment, so he's going to have to leave the field. He's now wearing a captain's armband for Sweden. It's another stoppage. Sweden, of course, are a man down. It might suit them better, but it's not exactly allowing them to try and put Ukraine under pressure, as that throw that they had higher up the pitch doesn't stay in their possession for very long. And now Zinchenko is charging across the halfway line for Ukraine, but that's the break. Halfway line is the break for Ukraine. He sprinted to get over it and then drops to a walking pace as they're just happy in possession. Could be an opportunity for Dizankov, square ball. See, Malinovsky's almost caught in possession. He rides one challenge from Berg, who's obviously back on the field. Then Kazan helps out. Full of energy. Those two are substitutes, of course, so fresher legs. And they're trying to lead from the front, but it is a free kick to Ukraine.
Yeah, I've not been impressed at all by Malinovsky. I think he's looked quite slow and sluggish on the ball. I know he's got a big reputation with Atalanta, but to say he's one of the fresher legs on the pitch as well, I don't think you'd realise that. But a free kick all the same. He has got a great left peg on him. Lindelof is trying to lead the defensive charge, of course. He is now the only starting centre-back still on the pitch.
Malinovsky just trying to direct his attackers of this free kick. He's actually gone for goal with a low shot, comes out to Zinchenko, fires it in, doesn't beat the man in the near post. That was more of a cross-come shot. I suppose Malinovsky might suggest that was a cross-come shot, but from that range, that low, it's hardly going to threaten lucky ricochet might have led to a better chance. Seemed a little bit of a waste. Maybe they think they don't think they can beat Sweden in the air. I don't know. They haven't put many crosses into the Swedish box as Ukraine come forward with Matvienko, who just runs into too many yellow shirts, although Kazan trying to bring it out is dispossessed. Now Zinchenko does get a ball into the box, half cleared, stabbed towards goal by Malinovsky on the volley. It's a little bit off balance, lacked the power. It's the wrong side of the post. Olsen probably had it covered.
Yeah, difficult technique in fairness to him. I know I've just been criticising him earlier, but I think he's got every right to go for it. Difficult to adjust your body at late notice. You can tell that by it's more like a karate kick-like attempt rather than a follow-through with the leg with the laces. So there's one final change perhaps coming for Ukraine, thinking about those spot kicks. And Sidorchuk now, if he is nervous about the kicks, can breathe a sigh of relief. He is coming off. The substitution is made, and it's Roman Bezus.
Yeah, of course, Sidorchuk hit the woodwork for Ukraine in the second period. That's the second period in normal time. We've got 3 minutes left of the second period of extra time. There might be a little bit of extras as well as the ball is flicked on, and Kazan will give chase, and Bushkan came out of his ground. It's hooked away from him by Karaveyev before he got there. Is there going to be a chance for Sweden as Forsberg drills it, looking for the feet of Kazan, but it's too far ahead of the sub through to Bushkan, and that's a little bit more controlled. Obviously mentioned Sweden have got all their subs on, so fresh legs or fresher legs. They are a man down, but 6 changes made as the ball is threaded into the box, but Karaveyev can't make it stick, and it's hacked clear by Lindelof. He's generally been wide, but he went through the middle there as Bezus has his first touch of the ball. Plays it square to Makarenko inside the Sweden half. 2 minutes left of the 30. Back in field to Malinovsky, and Zinchenko lines up a cross, picks out Karaveyev right edge of the box. Good ball, bit of space, delivered back towards the far post, headed clear though by Helander. Only one man in the box for Ukraine. Zinchenko now to Matvienko. He puts it in the box. There are actually 3 men in the box this time, and it's not close to any of them. It's chested by Bengtsson, back to the keeper.
Not another injury, Rob. He's gone down, by the way, in a real heap as the sub Bezus. If he's hurt his arm, rolling around on it like he is, he's saying the shoulders come out. He's not going to help it, but Helander's gone shoulder to shoulder with him, and he's claiming he's injured. I don't think I've seen a game like this before where so many of the subs have then got injured, but it's a nothing challenge from Helander. It's just a very simple centre-back, little nudge in the back. If his shoulders come out, he's so unlucky. I'm not really sure what Ukraine can do, but the shoulder doesn't look right to me, to be honest, but he isn't helping it by constantly moving it around.
Yeah, it's a weird one, that one, isn't it? He kind of backed into Helander, who just stood strong and didn't move as a consequence. Bezus might not have been expecting it. He's back on his feet. He's now clutching his shoulder. The ice pack was put on it briefly.
Oh, well, he's faked it.
He wants a penalty. He's never going to get a penalty for that.
He's carrying his arm weirdly. He can't be fully dislocated. They wouldn't let him. I'm sure they'd try and tell him to put it back. I'm just baffled by that. It looked like he was out of place when there was some of the angles he was laying on the floor on, but on we go, stoppage time, which could be any amount of minutes. Only 3.
3 minutes.
What a surprise.
You can only get. There's only so many you get in 15 minutes. As this game just has died as a contest.